At the end of the Ice Age, I accumulated tens of billions of supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 726. It's so bold. Zhang Yi heard this and silently put down the two guns in his hands. I originally planned to solve this problem in a normal way, but all I got in return was your arrogance. Okay, I won't pretend anymore. I'm showing off. Zhang Yi covered his forehead with one hand and sighed, but there was already white light gathering in his right eye. When he put down his right hand and looked at Yi, a breath of death instantly enveloped his body. A layer of white sweat formed on Yi's back. He quickly used his shadow to move his body 300 meters away. But Zhang Yi turned around quickly, eyes still staring at his position. Displacement also has a cooling time. Each time it is activated, it will take another 10 seconds before it can be used again. But this time he was locked in by Zhang Yi, and he couldn't escape. Divine power. Zhang Yi's right eye suddenly opened. In front of his vision, a huge cylindrical space instantly became distorted. Silently, a huge hole was opened in the wall of the training ground. Specifically designed for the training of aliens, the thick reinforced cement concrete is like mud and is penetrated through a 3-meter wide passage. Yi stood there blankly, and death passed him by. He felt a chill in his head, a bone-deep cold. Zhang Yi looked at him coldly. Do you want to continue? Yi stood there blankly, and he forgot his words for a moment. But an idea emerged in his mind. He actually tried to challenge the person in front of him. What a stupid decision it was. Only Deng Shentang had ever given him this terrifying pressure and feeling of despair. That is his absolutely invincible opponent. It's just that Zhang Yi and Deng Shentang are two completely opposite people. Deng Shentang is absolutely offensive. Zhang Yi, on the other hand, maintains absolute defense first and then attacks. However, his attacks rarely include meaningless probings, and his attacks are always killer moves. The previous use of guns to play with them was just toying with them. PFFT. Ha 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 ha. The air in the venue seemed to be frozen, but the silence was broken by loud laughter outside the venue. Woody held his stomach, pointed at Yi with one hand, and put his hand on Bailey Chanking's arm, laughing. The others also looked at him and couldn't help laughing. Yi was a little confused, but soon he discovered something was wrong. The coolness above my head didn't seem to be a psychological effect. He subconsciously reached out to touch his head, but it felt very slippery. His hair was cut off by Zhang Yi. He collapsed and shouted. After all, he is a handsome man and has a lot of female fans in Blizzard City. Now that Zhang Yi has cut off the hair that he cares about most, how will he go out to meet people in the future? Zhang Yi said coldly, this far sense here. Hey, who is that? He looked at Liu Yinghao. Liu Yinghao said honestly and politely, Captain Zhang, what are your orders? Good boy, you changed your tune pretty quickly. Zhang Yi glanced at him. Take these two guys down for treatment. After receiving Zhang Yi's order, Liu Yinghao dared to go over and check Zhu Miao's injuries. He collapsed on the ground in despair, with a look of despair on his face. Zhang Yi didn't have the slightest pity for them. From now on, you can quit the Tengu squad anytime you want. There will be no change in my decision. Yi raised his head and looked at Zhang Yi. He opened his mouth to say something, but thinking of what he had done, he couldn't. It turned out that the clowns turned out to be themselves. Bailey Chanking still gave him face, so he came over and helped Yi up. Then he sent the three of them out of the training ground. I know a doctor who is very good at treating hair loss. He has a kind of cola that can cure all diseases after drinking it, and your hair will grow back quickly. Bailey Chanking sent away the three members of the original Shinshan team and returned to the training ground. At this time, the members of the Black Robe team looked at Zhang Yi with a look of awe. Today's Zhang Yi is much more powerful than what they knew at the beginning. Especially the kind of defense that cannot be broken, no matter what the people present think. They can't find a way to deal with it. Zhang Yi looked at them and said very straightforwardly, everyone knows the establishment of the Tengu team. This is just a temporary team. The team will probably be disbanded after the problem of the eclipse is solved. It is precisely because of this that those guys are so unscrupulous. But here, I want to tell you that, as long as this team exists, I will be the captain for that day. If anyone makes me unhappy, I will make him even more unhappy. The atmosphere at the scene became much more serious. Zhang Yi had already proved to them through Yi and the other three that he was not someone to be trifled with. The celestial team has already failed in its mission to conquer the eclipse. 8 people, including their captain, died. I don't think you are more powerful than them. So now you must face the problems we will encounter with the most serious attitude. Otherwise, you will die. Bailey Changqing nodded. He stood upright in a standard military posture. Yes, Captain. We already have awareness in our hearts. They had this awareness from the first day they joined the investigation team. Moreover, the members of the investigation team are constantly changing, and more than % of those eliminated were killed in the mission. Why can the investigation team enjoy high-level resource supply? They all paid for it with their lives. Zhang Yi nodded. It's best to have this kind of awareness. But there is no need to sacrifice in vain. My ability is defensive, and so is my personality. So during battle, I will try my best to keep everyone alive. The time of action is unknown, and the action plan needs to be decided based on the occasion when the lunar eclipse occurs. Vice Captain Bailey is an expert in this regard. Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Changqing. That he was vice captain was undisputed. Whether it's strength or popularity, everyone is convinced. Zhang Yi said to Bailey Changqing, in the next time, I hope you can strengthen the training of the team members. There can be no slacking off. Bailey Changqing put his hands behind his back and responded loudly, yes, Captain. In fact, in the past few months, their team's training has never relaxed. Even if the people at the top look down on their dissatisfied team, they will not give up on themselves. Just waiting for this day, the opportunity to go to the battlefield. Chapter 727 Ability Index. Zhang Yi walked up to Bailey Changqing and whispered to him, as for the 3 of us, you have to take some private lessons. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows at Bailey Changqing. It's a bit strange to say this in public. As a captain, his basic combat literacy is definitely not as good as the members of the Black Robe team. Yang Xingxin and Liang Yu also have shortcomings in this regard. Let Bailey Changqing give them special training, which will definitely help them gain something. Bailey Changqing was stunned for a moment, then replied with a smile, yes, as you wish. He rubbed his hands. It's just that you 3 can't train with other team members. There is a big gap in training methods and intensity. Will this affect subsequent battles? If the running in is not good, there will definitely not be such a tacit understanding in subsequent group operations. In this regard, Zhang Yi acted relatively calmly. This is not a big problem, just help us train well. He also doesn't expect to have the combat qualities of a professional soldier in a short period of time. Can improve a little as a little. By the way, there is one more thing I need your help with. Zhang Yi whispered something in Bailey Changqing's ear. Bailey Changqing was a little surprised. He took a deep look at Liang Yu and nodded slowly. Then, he said to the others, you guys go through your daily training first. The captain and I have to leave for some things. Wu Di and others didn't know what they were doing. But now Zhang Yi and Bailey Changqing are captains and deputy captains, so they must obey orders. Several people could only endure their curiosity and watch Zhang Yi and Bailey Changqing leave with Yang Xingxin and Liang Yu. Zhang Yi and the others arrived at the martial arts arena. Zhang Yi looked at Evergreen, smiled and said, it's all your hard work today. Bailey Changqing glanced at Liang Yu, smiled and shrugged. It doesn't matter, we will all be teammates from now on, and we should always help each other. Zhang Yi nodded. Then, let's experiment. He took Yang Xingxin away from the martial arts arena. The place was quickly sealed off. As the investigation captain, Zhang Yi now has the authority to apply for the opening of the martial arts arena. The martial arts field quickly turned into a huge area with a radius of 5 kilometers. Bailey Changqing and Liang Yu are the protagonists of this martial arts performance. That's right, Zhang Yi wants Liang Yu to have a fight with Bailey Changqing to judge what level her current strength is. Of course, because it is an experiment, Zhang Yi will not let them really face each other in life or death. Even the weapons used were blunt weapons without sharp edges. Liang Yu held a blunt knife and closed her eyes tightly. When she opened her eyes, an astonishing momentum spread out to the entire field with her as the center. The weapon used by Bailey Changqing is a long alloy stick, which he sweeps with one hand with equally astonishing momentum. The battle between the two has begun. Zhang Yi and Yang Xingxin looked at it very carefully. The following battle is a battle between top-notch enhanced aliens. Strengthening type, the most common existence among aliens. Their enhancement is mainly based on flesh and blood, which can improve comprehensive attributes. Most of them have no ability other than close combat. But if you underestimate them because of this, it would be a big mistake. Because theoretically speaking, enhanced aliens are one of the few who can kill people at multiple levels. Even if it is only a LV2 beta level enhancement system alien, once it gets a chance to get up close, it is possible to use its powerful close combat ability to kill a LV4 delta level strongman. Coupled with their terrifying vitality and self-healing ability, enhanced aliens have become existences that no one dares to underestimate. After the transformation, Liang Yu and Bailey Changqing are currently the leaders in this field. Watching them fight was as terrifying as watching two monsters from ancient times fight. While Zhang Yi was observing attentively, the information provided by the martial arts field suddenly came from his equipment. Zhang Yi chose to accept it out of curiosity, and a blue screen appeared in front of his eyes, which clearly displayed the data analysis of the two combatants. A look of astonishment flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. He had been to the martial arts arena once before, but that time it was as a participant in the war. But he thought that the martial arts arena could analyze the abilities of strangers. In fact, it really kept him guessing. Yang Xingxin also turned her head curiously and looked at the data analysis of Liang Yu and Bailey Changqing. There are portraits of the two people on it, as well as detailed analysis of various abilities. Liang Yu, a person with enhanced abilities. Weapon, long knife. Speed, A1 power, A1 tips, S1 superpower index. 6800 points. Evergreen, a person with enhanced abilities. Weapon, long stick speed, A1 power, A2 tip, A2 superpower index. 7200 points. The above is the basic data, and there are many complex analytical data that are not enough to list one by one. Zhang Yi was also a little surprised. No wonder the district level units can evaluate the level of strangers. It turns out that they have such detailed data analysis. What is the power index? Zhang Yi asked about the intelligence system of the martial arts field. Soon the martial arts arena gave Zhang Yi a reply, similar to the combat power index. However, due to the variety of superpowers, in addition to combat type aliens, there are also auxiliary types, life type superpowers, and other types of superpowers. Therefore, a comprehensive score is given, based on the practicality of the ability. In other words, the ability index is not exactly the same as the combat power index. For example, Zhao Keita. Her ability is healing. Even if her power index reaches 10,000, her combat ability is not as good as that of an alien with a power index of 1000. But for aliens who are also fighting types, this ability index is close to combat effectiveness. However, it cannot be completely equated with combat effectiveness, because the restrained relationship between abilities also needs to be considered. Zhang Yi felt a little itchy in his heart, and he couldn't help but ask, then what is my superpower index? The martial arts arena quickly gave Zhang Yi data. 5200. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Is my superpower index so low? But soon he understood. The statistics collected at the martial arts venue were from the previous battle between him and Wu Di. But in fact, he never revealed his true strength in front of Blizzard City. Therefore, this ability index does not have much reference value for him. The two monsters below continued to fight, and the fierce wind of the battle rose into the sky, making bursts of terrifying cries. Out of curiosity, Zhang Yi started chatting with the intelligence system of the martial arts arena. Ask them about the division of power index. The intelligence system also gave Zhang Yi the following reply. LV1 alpha, alpha, 129, LV2 beta, beta, 10 to 99, LV3 gamma, gamma, 100 to 999, LV4 delta, delta, 1000 to 9999, LV5 epsilon, epsilon, 1, unknown. These are the levels of superpowers currently confirmed to exist by humans, and the classification of superpower indexes. In other words, the strength displayed by Liang Yu and Bailey Chanking now is at a high level of LV4 combat effectiveness. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 728 New Deputy Team Level. Bailey Chanking and Liang Yu fought for a long time, but there was no difference between them. Although both of them had their hands full and there was no real fight to the death. This result also showed that Liang Yu's potential has been greatly developed. Now she has the strength of a vice captain level. The two of them stopped their hands in a very tacit understanding and returned to the stands. Bailey Chanking took the initiative to praise Zhang Yi. I never expected that there is such a master hiding next to you. Her strength amazes me. If I hadn't been trained by the district, I might not have been her opponent one-on-one in the past. Bailey Chanking's words are not modest. What Liang Yu practices is not martial arts performance, but real killing skills. Anyone who can serve as a bodyguard in that place is a ruthless person. If life and death were to come to an end, he was not sure he could defeat Liang Yu. It just took the advantage of being cultivated by Jiangnan region for a longer period of time. As for Liang Yu, before getting help from Deng family technology, he grew up barbaric most of the time. Zhang Yi nodded and looked at Liang Yu, the smile in his eyes unstoppable. He finally had a capable fighting force by his side. By the way, the ability index system, do you understand this thing? Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Chanking. Bailey Chanking smiled and said, of course. This is the district's ability level evaluation of strangers using the artificial intelligence system. Alpha, beta, and so on. There are actually clear boundaries for the division of power levels. For example, for Delta and Gamma, the limit is whether they can master the power of symphagy. As for Delta and Epsilon, the limit is the power of the ability, whether it has reached a leap-type jump. For Epsilon, the most basic judgment is whether one person has the power to destroy a city. Of course, for some aliens, the index of their abilities will be described by the indicators of other aliens. Bailey Chanking raised a finger. However, this simple classification is too general. It cannot reflect the true ability of strangers. There are still huge level differences between each major level division. So many years ago, experts in the field of mutants proposed the concept of ability index. That is the current standard of ability index. Zhang Yi nodded. This look can indeed reflect the alien's ability level more intuitively. Bailey Chanking asked, Captain, do you know your own power index? I do not know. Zhang Yi said very directly. Bailey Chanking smiled and said, the latest update to your ability index was after you completed the killing of 4 Eclipse members. The intelligence system sets your ability index at 8200 points, based on your record and abilities. 8200 points, a full 1000 points higher than Evergreen. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and asked curiously, can I ask what the superpower index of Bian Junwu and Deng Shentang is? Bailey Chanking answered truthfully, Captain Bian has 9100 points, while Deng Shentang has 9300 points. Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing even harder. Bailey Chanking thought Zhang Yi was unhappy that he was underestimated. He quickly explained, this is just a numerical judgment and cannot be absolutely linked to combat power. After all, there are too many factors that determine victory or defeat on the battlefield. Zhang Yi shook his head. Bailey Chanking didn't understand what he meant. He was not angry, but happy. Yes, just happy. Even though he became the captain of the investigation team, in the eyes of most people in Blizzard City, his strength was still between the deputy captain and captain levels. In other words, none of them really understand Zhang Yi's strength. Isn't this a wonderful thing? He also has an unknown trump card. Later, after Bailey Chanking left, Zhang Yi asked Liang Yu specifically, if you fight against him, are you sure you can win? Because of the judgment given by the intelligence system of the martial arts arena, Liang Yu's ability index is lower than Bailey Chanking. Liang Yu did not answer this question directly. She just glanced at the unedged long training knife in her hand and said lightly, the knife is not in your hand. In the following time, Zhang Yi formulated a training plan for the Tengu team. The former members of the Black Robe team are training as usual because their daily training volume has not dropped. The key point is that Bailey Changqing, a former Yan'anwei lieutenant colonel and special forces instructor, will train Zhang Yi, Liang Yu, and Yang Xingxin. What Zhang Yi and the others need to learn is the actual cooperation required on the battlefield, including basic team mode tactics. Professional soldiers are definitely better than laymen like them in this regard. The next day, the three of Yi who had recovered after treatment found Zhang Yi. They have seen Zhang Yi's strength and are completely convinced. Yi took the lead, and the three of them bowed 90 degrees to Zhang Yi. "Captain, please forgive us for being rude to you. We hope to join the campaign to encircle and suppress Eclipse Moon and avenge Captain Deng and his teammates from the Celestial team." Zhang Yi looked at the three people in front of him without saying a word. The three of them bowed at 90 degrees like this for a full 10 minutes. Even well-trained warriors are under heavy psychological pressure. Just when they could no longer hold on, Zhang Yi's cold voice came from their head. "Are you convinced by my punishment? Record a major demerit and review it in public. This kind of punishment is a bit severe, if it is, just for being late once." But the three of them were not stunned. They understood that Zhang Yi was trying to establish his authority with them. "But if you want to come back now, you have to look at Zhang Yi's face." He quickly replied, "We are convinced." He quickly took out the confession from his body. It was a very long letter of apology, with more than 10 pages, all handwritten. "This is my review." Zhang Yi didn't read his confession. "The members of the Tengu squad are going to risk their lives and fight for the honor of the country. So there is a high probability that you will die. If it is for the sake of victory, I will sacrifice your lives without hesitation. Even so, do you still want to come? Some things need to be said clearly in advance, so that when the time comes to let them go to die, they will leave a reason for others to talk about." The three people said in unison, "As long as we can destroy the Eclipse Moon, we are willing to sacrifice lives." For these warriors who have been on the battlefield for a long time, death is not the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying thing is that there is no chance to wash away the shame on oneself, and one has to live with regret for the rest of his life. The defeat of the Celestial team turned the number they were once proud of into a big joke. The glory attached to them in the past suddenly dimmed, and they could often hear others talking about the defeat of the Celestial team to Eclipse. This kind of thing is simply shameful for the team that is the no seed in the competition region and has the highest reputation for winning the world championship. It is even more shameful to lose to the team from the bubble tournament of the no division. Therefore, they had insomnia all night long, and they couldn't wait to find the person who eclipsed the moon to fight. Even if they die on the battlefield, it would be more comfortable for them than living as a coward. Chapter 729. They are here. Zhang Yi finally chose to let Yi and the other two recite their inspections publicly, and then gathered them into the team. After all, these three people also have good fighting capabilities, and they will definitely be used to defeat Eclipse Moon later. Anyway, even if they had opinions about Zhang Yi in their hearts, they would not dare to disobey him on the battlefield. Because of that, Zhang Yi can justifiably kill them. In the following days, training became their main job. Gao Changkan would often contact Zhang Yi to discuss the content of joint operations at that time. As for the headquarters, they are paying attention to the trends in various places in the region all the time. Combat Command Center. It has been half a month since the last campaign against the Eclipse Moon. Within half a month, the headquarters made comprehensive plans, just waiting for the eclipse to appear again. ZHU Zheng personally called the commander-in-chief of the Donghae region. "Old Li, you must be aware of what happened in our region before. The running came across the sea. Your Donghae region is responsible for coastal defense, so you are also responsible for this matter. The East China Sea region was originally responsible for coastal defense work in the Eastern Sea area. But after the end of the world, the era of ice ocean battleships entered, and ordinary navies could no longer sustain deep sea operations. Therefore, the Donghae region is responsible for patrolling the entire southeast coastline." Li Guangxiu, the commander-in-chief of the Donghae region, couldn't help but smacked his lips when he heard ZHU Zheng's words. "Lao ZHU, what you are saying is unreasonable. Our defense in the East China Sea is mainly to guard against pirate groups that suddenly appear in the surrounding areas, and to guard against other regional forces that may launch an invasion of our territory. Now that the Ice Age is coming, we don't have too many manpower to plug all the loopholes. It's impossible to stop all the small fish and shrimps. ZHU Zheng nodded. I know. What I'm worried about this time is that, because of Eclipse's actions, a large number of overseas forces will plot evil. So you should pay more attention to your coastal defense work, especially the southeastern coastal area of our Jiangnan region. Li Guangxiu said, you don't need to remind me, I know this matter well. This is an emergency moment. If any fleet appears in the nearby waters, we will directly fire and sink it. If our warning is ineffective, we will not give them a chance to land. Having said that, the East China Sea region can only focus on large fleets. There is not that much energy and manpower to intercept every ship. Therefore, the icebreaker of the Eclipse comes across the sea. Li Guangxiu suddenly asked, Lao Zhu, I heard that half of the Eclipse moon has been destroyed by you, and now there is no trace of it. Are they afraid and have already escaped? You guys are like this, causing chaos all day long. If anything happens. Li Guangxiu's tone was teasing. He and ZHU Zheng were also old acquaintances. Seeing ZHU Zheng's defeat, he was a little gloating, but it was a joke between old friends and not malicious. No, I know they will come back. ZHU Zheng said firmly with a straight face. I know those wolf cubs too well. Their ambition is bigger than their appetite. These wolf cubs will go crazy whenever they see blood. They will not give up the opportunity and continue to encroach on the Jiangnan region. I'll wait here for them to come. Li Guangxiu replied, well, you can handle matters on land by yourself. As for the coastline, I will block it. As long as their traces are found, I can guarantee that they will never be able to leave by sea. Just as ZHU Zheng thought, the people who eclipse the moon have never given up occupying the central plains. They retreated after the last battle. The purpose of retreat is not just to heal. The purpose is to use this as capital to recruit more helpers and launch an even grander battle. Above the ice ocean, the fog filled the air in the morning, making the view invisible. The temperature in the air makes your blood feel cold. The 4th Division of the Xianlang pirates sailed into the southeastern sea in the vast mist, heading towards the richest Jiangnan region. The pirates on the ship have a distinct hierarchy. Only Cadre level pirates are eligible to wear combat uniforms, and they are still old styles from more than 10 years ago. As for ordinary pirates, they can only fight in thick cotton clothes. Their messy hair and eyelashes were covered with thick ice crystals, but each of them held a leather wineskin and used strong liquor to ward off the cold. On the bow of the boat, Feng Huang Yunren was still dressed in the same thin outfit. The superpower he possesses allows him to survive the cold. At this time, he was holding a huge black bump in his hand. It was an old satellite phone. Although it looked very outdated, it didn't have many modern functions. But its confidentiality is very good, and it can even block regional level satellite monitoring. Mr. Marxi. After the call was connected, a deep man's voice came from the other side. Jiangnan region is already waiting for you to come. Phoenix Yuanren narrowed his eyes. Oh. So what kind of troops are they planning to use to deal with us? It's much more than last time. Haha, that's really interesting. Phoenix Yuanren turned around and looked behind him. On the vast ice ocean, dozens of ships broke through the waves and headed towards the coastal cities in the Jiangnan region. My preparations are quite a lot. The voice on the other end of the phone came again. If you want to win this time, you have to get rid of someone. Who? A man who can break the power of your prophecies. Phoenix Yuanren's eyes became terrifying. He thought of that person. If it weren't for that person, his team wouldn't have such a high casualty ratio. It can even be said that, if it weren't for the existence of that person, they would be afraid of it. After wiping out the Celestial team, they could have marched straight in and occupied several cities in the Central Plains area. In Phoenix Yuanren's view, that guy's existence is even more troublesome than the investigation captain level figure in Jiangnan region. Where is that guy? Phoenix Academy narrowed his eyes and asked. The voice on the other end of the phone sneered. Don't worry, I will help you get rid of him. Next, you need to. Phoenix Yuanren listened quietly to what the man said. The smile on his lips grew stronger and stronger. Sounds really good. Thank you so much for providing us with information time and time again. It's just that I have always had a question. He narrowed his eyes and asked meaningfully, who are you, and why do you keep helping us? Could it be that you are also an enemy of Jiangnan region? There was a moment of silence on the other end of the phone. The man's voice sounded again. Is this important? You won't completely trust me. You will consider the authenticity of the information yourself. But one thing is for sure. You and I have a common interest in dealing with the Jiangnan region. Chapter 730 Action. The sound from the Phoenix courtyard suddenly stopped. After the information was finished, he left, just like before. Phoenix Academy suddenly laughed loudly. This caught the attention of Kanat, the captain of the 4th Division. You seem happy. Phoenix Yuanren turned around and said to him with a smile, of course I'm very happy. Hey, my friend. I have great news for you. This time, you can make a fortune. And I need you to change the direction of travel. Feng Huang Yuanren narrowed his eyes. The target of your pirate group has been changed to Xianhei City this time. I need your help to kill a difficult person first. Canute looked at him gloomily. You want me to deal with this difficult person? Phoenix Academy put a finger to his lips. Don't be nervous. It's a bit tricky for us, but it may not be so for you. Besides, you should know how wealthy Xianhei City is. Canute chuckled. Ronin, what you'd better say is true. If you let me know that you dare to plot against me, you will never be able to take the sea route again in this life. How dare you dare? Phoenix Yuanren spread his hands, but a hint of disdainful ridicule flashed deep in his eyes. Now, as long as we follow Mayumi's guidance, we can avoid the navy and land on the other side safely. When that time comes, if you want to get something, please plunder it freely. For half a month, in order to prepare for the next mission, to encircle and suppress the eclipse moon, the entire Blizzard City has focused all its efforts on this. The Tengu team and the Samsara team both received top-notch resources. Inside and outside the city, the only topic was when to fight the eclipse again, and avenge the past. At this time in Blizzard City, annihilating eclipse has become the most important thing. To achieve this goal, everything else is put on hold. And that night, the defense department of the Combat Command Center suddenly issued an alarm. An enemy appears near Jiangnan region. After receiving the news, ZHU Zheng got up from the bed immediately and rushed to the Combat Command Center. Not only him, but all combatants were immediately in place. The other party will attack at night, and they are not unprepared. ZHU Zheng got into the car and put on his headphones to start a meeting with the senior officials of the combat center. Gone, where does the enemy appear? Can you be sure it is a lunar eclipse? The Minister of Defense replied, the area where the abnormal reaction occurred is offshore, and it is not just one area, but 3. ZHU Zheng frowned and sneered. It looks like they have brought reinforcement here. It doesn't matter, we will annihilate them in one fell swoop this time. The defense minister continued, shielding holes have appeared in the sea areas outside Xianhei City, Linhei City and Huazhou City. These ships bypassed the Navy's defense line. We basically judge that they are the people of Eclipse. They used prophecy to avoid the Navy's patrol. ZHU Zheng said with a cold face, send out drones for investigation. At least determine who the other party is. UAVs have limited mobility in extremely cold temperatures and cannot engage in overly complex combat missions. However, it is still possible to use its own high-definition camera to capture images of the invading troops. The Minister of Defense replied, yes. He immediately went offline and arranged for people to find out who the invading enemies of these 3 lines were. ZHU Zheng then ordered his secretary Lan Xincheng, notify everyone in the Tengu squad and the Samsara squad to gather at the combat center immediately. This time, we will defend the enemy from outside the country and will not allow them to cause trouble in our land. Lan Xincheng nodded, understood. ZHU Zheng, on the other hand, personally called Li Guangxiao in Donghai region. They were asked to dispatch the navy to quickly reach the peripheral waters of Linhei City, Xianhei City and Huazhou City to block the enemy's retreat. In this battle, all these people must be killed and no one can be left behind. Otherwise, the disasters in the Jiangnan region will be endless in the future. A group of jackals lurking in the dark will pounce on you impatiently. On Zhang Yi's side, he was sleeping. But the sound of the communication device woke him up immediately. His sleep has always been shallow, and the slightest movement can wake him up. After waking up, Zhang Yi looked at the time. It was midnight. The name displayed on the satellite phone was Lan Xincheng. He picked up the phone and connected. "Hi, Secretary Lan. Captain Zhang, the enemy is coming. Please lead your team members to the combat command center to assemble immediately. Tonight, the war is about to begin." Zhang Yi's eyes became sharp. Almost there. Without any extra words, he immediately got up from the bed, got dressed, and then contacted Bailey Changqing and asked him to summon all the team members to assemble. Then he went to the next room and woke up Liang Yu and Yang Xingxin. "The people from Eclipse are here. Get ready immediately and gather at the combat center." Zhang Yi was arranging his equipment while talking. The captain level combat uniform was specially made. Relying on his cooperative relationship with Deng Yuanbo, he asked for a combat uniform of the same style as Deng Shentang. It is the most high-tech product in the region. This suit has many hidden pockets. Items such as daggers, medicines, bullets, bombs, etc. can be placed. It is resistant to high temperatures and extreme cold, and even the built-in black suit is the latest model. Its defense and practicality are both top-notch. There are only 2 sets of combat uniforms like this in the entire Deng family. What Zhang Yi is wearing is actually Deng Shentang's spare model. After putting on the equipment, Zhang Yi checked the large number of weapons in the different space again. All weapons are in a ready state and can be taken out and used at any time. The firearms safety is turned on, and other combat items are also in optimal condition. Zhang Yi used the shortest time to confirm his weapons and equipment. Yang Xingxin and Liang Yu did not dare to neglect. After Zhang Yi left the room, the two began to equip themselves and check each other. As for Huata, due to its transformation characteristics, there are no suitable weapons and equipment for it. But its natural fur is its best weapon. Beasts are usually stronger than modern humans in battle. 15 minutes later, the 3 people and the cat walked out of the villa. The night was dark, but there were hundreds of searchlights shining into the endless night sky in Blizzard City, lighting up the city. There were already people from Yanyanwei waiting outside, with cars ready for Zhang Yi and the others. Several people got into the car and set off towards the combat center without any pause along the way. Not long after, when the vehicle was driving on the main road, it was discovered that other similar vehicles were also heading towards the combat center. Members of the Samsara team, members of the Tengu team, as well as senior officials of Yanyanwei and the senior officials of the Combat Command Headquarters were all gathering at the combat center. Chapter 731. 3 enemy soldiers. Zhang Yi and the others arrived at the combat center. Gao Changkang's car arrived before him, and after seeing Zhang Yi, he hurried over to say hello. "Chaos, you're here. Let's go up quickly, time is urgent." Gao Changkang called Zhang Yi by his code name. When performing special tasks, names will not be used to avoid exposing important personal information. Zhang Yi was a little uncomfortable at first, but over time he got used to it. He nodded and walked towards the elevator with Gao Changkang without stopping. As for the others, who are not qualified to participate in high-level meetings, they are all waiting below. "Do you know what's going on?" Chakravartin Wheelking, Gao Changkang's code name. Gao Changkang shook his head. "Like you, I just received the notice. Let's talk about it later." The 2 people got on the elevator and went straight to the combat command room. After the 2 arrived, most of the people in the command room were already here. After all, these senior officials were notified immediately, and then they were notified of the frontline combat troops. Zhu Zeng glanced at them and waved to them. "Chaos, Chakravartin, please sit down quickly. Listen to what the Ministry of Defense has to say." Zhang Yi and Gao Changkang found an empty seat and sat down. The Minister of Defense did not delay. Time was very precious at this time, and not a single bit should be wasted. They also saved the process of making official remarks. A holographic image appeared in the center of the conference room. Not long after, the door of the conference room was opened, and Chief of Operations Tu Yunli also arrived at the scene. He glanced inside the room, and sat down not far from Zhang Yi and the others. The core combat force members were all here, and the Minister of Defense stopped waiting. He pointed at the holographic image, and 3 red dots immediately appeared on it. This time we found 3 groups of enemies suddenly appearing on the coast. Currently, based on our investigation, we have basically determined their identities. He pointed at Huazhou City. What appears in the waters near Huazhou City is the Ronin organization, Jideo Demon, from the waters surrounding Japan. This is a gang with more than 500 members. They use Ropafly Island as their base, and engage in banditry on land and at sea. Then his hand pointed at Linhai City. Linhai City, we found the symbol of Corrosion Moon, and many of their members. It can basically be concluded that the main force of Corrosion Moon is here. Zhang Yi and Gao Changkang stared at the location of Linhai City, with a strange light shining in their eyes. The corroding moon is the enemy they most want to destroy. But then, the Minister of Defense pointed his hand to the 3rd position, which made Zhang Yi's eyes change. Qianhai City. What appeared in the waters near here are members of the Qianlong pirates who dominate the southern waters. This pirate group has a total of 7 fleets. They are very powerful. They have destroyed many small countries. Although judging from the scale, it's just one of their fleets. But to deal with it, a large number of troops need to be deployed. After listening to the words of the Minister of Defense, the atmosphere in the conference room became solemn. I originally thought that the reinforcement invited by Eclipse were just a ragtag group of people, but the appearance of the Qianlong pirates put a lot of pressure on them. Fortunately for the Ronin organization, Jideo Demon, although there are many people, the Ronin are just idle personnel. Although there are many people, their strength may not be that terrible. However, the Qianlong pirates are basically composed of professional soldiers and gang members from various countries in the southern seas. After a long battle, they have gained considerable combat effectiveness. Zhang Yi's eyes fell on Zhu Zheng. In the current situation, we can either choose to divide our forces into 3 fronts to fight, or we can concentrate our superior forces and destroy one area first. It depends on how Zhu Zheng arranges it. However, when he thought that Qianhai City had become the target of others, he couldn't help but feel worried. Fortunately, he had considered this outcome before, and warned the people in Qianhai City in advance. Zhao Ke and the others don't need to say much. As long as they do not leave the shelter, even if the Qianlong pirates attack with all their strength, they will not be able to harm them. That is a top-level defense that can prevent missile bombardment. As for Zhao Honglian, Xingshan and Chen Jingwen, it depends on whether they strictly follow Zhang Yi's instructions. The opponent dispatched 3 groups of troops this time, but Zhu Zheng was unhurried. The Qianlong pirates. This group of rabble is so tired of living that they dare to invade our Huaxu kingdom. We will settle this matter with them later. For now, we will clear out the invading enemies. Zhu Zheng's eyes turned and fell on Zhang Yi and Gao Changkang. Chaos. Qianhai City is your territory, and you are very familiar with it. So you lead the Tengu team to Qianhai City and deal with the Qianlong pirates first. Zhang Yi felt relieved after hearing this. Although there were many pirates, in his opinion, their strength could not be compared to that of Eclipse, who were all elites. It is much less difficult to deal with. Zhu Zheng asked him to go to Qianhai City, obviously taking care of him, and taking into account his strength, of course. This refers to Zhang Yi's strength as judged by Zhu Zheng himself. Yes, Commander. Zhang Yi took over this task. Zhu Zheng looked at Gao Changkang again. King of Wheels, there are people from Eclipse over there in Linhai City. You lead the Samsara team to stop them. But don't rush into a life and death fight with them. After all, they have the power of prophecy, which is not easy to deal with. Use your own abilities to delay them, and avoid a deadly fight. Then wait for the Tengu team to finish solving the group of pirates, and then join forces with you. Let's deal with Eclipse together, to avoid too many casualties. Gao Changkang, yes, Commander. The 2 groups have already arranged people to deal with them. Next, there is no one left to deal with the Jideo Demon organization in Huazhou City. Zhu Zheng's eyes looked at Tu Yunli. Zhu Rong, lead your 500 Yan Iron Guards to Huazhou. When Zhang Yi heard this code name, he subconsciously began to analyze Tu Yunli's abilities. Zhuring, the god of fire, was an absolutely powerful god in ancient times. Tu Yunli's ability is flame? No, it cannot be judged so simply. Zhang Yi thought in his heart, just like I use chaos to hide my true ability. Tu Yunli's codename may also be a kind of concealment. Half of Tu Yunli's face was hidden in the large royal robe, and his expression could not be seen clearly. But from his eyes, you can feel the burning fighting spirit. Yes, Commander. Lan Xincheng raised objections. Zhu Shui, if Yan Yunwei is used, who will protect Blizzard City? Blizzard City implements full military management. Everyone performs their duties, and performs their duties on a fixed route. And now Tu Yunli, who is responsible for defending Blizzard City, has been transferred away, which will inevitably weaken Blizzard City's defense. Chapter 730 To the sword points to the sky and sea. Facing Lan Xincheng's question, Zhu Zheng crossed his hands on the table and said firmly, the biggest conflict right now is the invasion of foreign enemies. We must win a perfect victory at all costs. Blizzard City's defense is strong enough. Even if Zhu Rang and his 500 Yan Iron elites are missing, there won't be much impact. Lan Xincheng frowned slightly, thought for a while, and did not continue speaking. It would be rude for him to continue to question something that has been decided by the leader. This is not the way of a good official. Zhu Zheng slapped the table. Now, start taking action. We must end this war outside the country before they wreak havoc. Absolutely, we cannot let them go deep into the hinterland of the Central Plains. Zhang Yi and others all stood up and responded loudly, yes. The voice was clean and crisp, and then Zhang Yi, Gao Changkang and Tu Yunli left the conference room without hesitation. Time waits for no one, and the three external forces have almost arrived at the harbor of the coastal city. If they were a step late, who knows how many people would suffer. Linhai City and Qianhai City are not bad. After all, both places had suffered catastrophes, and there were very few living people left in both cities. And Qianhai City had Zhang Yi's previous warning, and was on guard. However, Huazhou City, faced with the attack of members of the Jidao Demon, is afraid that there will be another bloody storm. This was also the reason why Zhu Zheng rarely sent out Tu Yunli. Huazhou City must be saved. It is the face of their entire Jiangnan region. Zhang Yi and others walked out of the conference room and went downstairs quickly. Zhang Yi immediately contacted Zhao Ke, who was far away in Qianhai City. It was midnight, and it took Zhao Ke a while to wake up. She was filled with joy when she saw the call from Zhang Yi. Hey, Zhang Yi. Why are you thinking of calling me so late? Could it be that you? Zhang Yi spoke quickly. Listen, Qianhai City is in danger. Eclipse Moon has brought people back to cause trouble. There is a group of pirates just offshore, and will arrive in Qianhai City soon. All of you are not allowed to go out, and go to the basement immediately. I will be in Qianhai City right away. Zhao Kena's face suddenly became serious. She lifted the suspenders of her pajamas, turned her to slender white legs to the edge of the bed, and put on slippers. Okay, I'll notify everyone right away. Don't be afraid, they can't breach the shelter. I'll be there in half an hour at most. Zhang Yi quickly explained what happened, and then hung up the phone. After that, he called Chen Jingwen at Chaoyu base. Because the enemy came from the sea, the first to suffer was the harbor of Chaoyu base. Chen Jingwen was still awake at this time. There were thousands of people in Chaoyu base. He had to manage the affairs of the base every day, so he went to bed relatively late. When Zhang Yi's phone rang, he quickly answered the call. Boss, are you still up so late? Zhang Yi was too lazy to talk nonsense with him, and quickly explained the cause and effect. I asked you to prepare for the battle before. How are you doing? Chen Jingwen's face became solemn, and he replied with anxiety. Everything has been done according to your instructions. Everyone is resting in the shelter, and the strategic materials have been moved away. Except for some large containers at the seaport, it is difficult to move, nothing else. Zhang Yi nodded. Very good, you can lurk down and wait for my orders to act. After Zhang Yi finished making the call, he realized that he, Tu Yunli, and Gao Changkang were the only three people in the elevator. Zhang Yi glanced at them, thought for a while, and didn't know what to say. He wasn't very familiar with Gao Changkang, and he hadn't even exchanged a few words with Tu Yunli. Therefore, there is no way to start talking now. It is better for everyone to perform their duties and solve the matters within the scope of their own tasks first. But Tu Yunli spoke first. He said angrily, I will deal with the group of rogues in Huazhou City as soon as possible. Then I will support you. If you are in danger and cannot solve it yourself, just hide and wait for our support. As the director of the operations department, Tu Yunli is also a figure in the upper echelon of Blizzard City's power center. In this battle, he also wanted to make a great contribution and then grab more capital for his future. However, he does have the qualifications to say this. The 500 Yan'an guards he led on the mission this time were all the most elite members of Yan'an's army. These include 10 elite Delta level aliens and 30 outstanding aliens from Beta to Gamma levels. The rest are also well trained and well armed elite warriors. Zhang Yi shrugged. He was not very interested in credit or anything else. As long as he can annihilate Eclipse and restore stability to the Jiangnan region, especially the area where he lives. Okay, I will ask you to come over for support if necessary. Gao Changkang smiled, but did not answer Tu Yunli's words. Instead, he looked at Zhang Yi. I'm still waiting for you to come over and annihilate Eclipse Moon with us. Don't forget that Eclipse Moon is our biggest goal. Without Zhang Yi's ability to block predictions, dealing with the eclipse would not be an easy task. Even if Gao Changkang controls the power of reincarnation, he still has to take great risks. Zhang Yi felt something strange in the tone of Gao Changkang and Tu Yunli. Sure enough, as Deng Yuanbo said at the beginning, the top management of Blizzard City is also divided into different factions. They are fighting openly and secretly with each other, and they are also competing with each other. It's just that as an outsider, because he won't be involved in power disputes, he is not wary of others. What a hassle. Zhang Yi thought so in his heart. He has no interest in power, and even thinks that it will only put people in danger. Before Zhang Yi could reply, Gao Changkang said again, I heard someone from the Iron-Blooded team mention the Cheyenne Lang pirates in the southern seas. The strength is indeed good, but without the Cheyenne Lang King personally taking charge, the strength of his team would only be so. Something happened. With your strength, it shouldn't be difficult to deal with them. The Cheyenne Lang pirates are very famous and number in the tens of thousands. But in this era, where the top aliens determine the situation of the battle, it does not mean that they have the strength to sweep everything. Otherwise, Blizzard City would not have needed to dispatch the God team. To deal with Eclipse 30 defense troops can be easily crushed if dispatched. According to the analysis of the data obtained from Blizzard City, only 2 investigation teams are needed to destroy such a force as the Cheyenne Lang pirates. But if only one of the squads comes to attack, the Tengu team led by Zhang Yi can definitely win it. Therefore, in the eyes of everyone, the 4th division of the Cheyenne Lang pirates was just a smoke bomb that was tempted by the Eclipse to cause trouble. Zhang Yi nodded. How strong the opponent is can only be known after fighting. He never underestimates any opponent. Pride is a deadly sin. Chapter 733 Go to the battlefield. Zhang Yi came downstairs, and the Tengu team was ready to go, just waiting for Zhang Yi's order to take action. And Zhang Yi didn't say any nonsense. Go. Everyone quickly left the combat command center, and armored vehicles were waiting outside to take them to the airport. On the left side of Zhang Yi sits Yang Xingxin, on the right is Liang Yu, and Huahua is held in Yang Xingxin's arms. Zhang Yi first briefly explained their combat mission to everyone. We need to go to Cheyenne City first, and eliminate the Cheyenne Lang pirates who landed there. Cheyenne City is my territory. I'm familiar with the terrain there, and I have my spies there. So the battle is good for us. Just practice what you usually train for. After saying this, he gave special instructions to Liang Yu and Huahua. During the battle, stay closer to Xingxin. This is her first time on the battlefield, so protect her. Liang Yu nodded, of course. Huahua opened her mouth wide, meow. Yang Xingxin did not refuse Zhang Yi's special care. Although she has awakened her powers, she needs to adapt to her abilities on the battlefield. What's more, her ability is very special and the risk is relatively high. With the protection of Huahua and Liang Yu, her life can be ensured. As for the tactical arrangements, Bailey, I'll leave it to you. Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Changqing and said, until I tell you, all action plans will be decided by you. Professional things should be left to professional people to do. When it comes to fighting, Bailey Changqing is definitely better at it. Zhang Yi is not stupid enough to enter a field that he is not good at. Bailey Changqing was a little excited, but she didn't expect Zhang Yi to trust him so much. The delegation of authority by leaders is the greatest recognition of subordinates. Yes. Bailey Changqing didn't say any more nonsense and accepted Zhang Yi's order. This decision also made others feel greatly relieved. If it were Zhang Yi, a layman, who forced the command, they would be beating the drum in their hearts. Recognizing Zhang Yi's personal strength is one thing, but command ability and personal combat power are two completely unrelated things. Tengu team, Samsara team, and Yan'an team quickly rushed to the airport. Searchlights pierced the night sky. Blizzard City was filled with chills, and tonight was another sleepless night. As the fighter planes took off one after another, the three teams also flew to their respective battlefields. At this time, in Xianhe City, due to Zhang Yi's early warning, the shelter and the three forces gathered people and materials to a safe area in advance. After the pirates of the Xianlang pirates arrived at the offshore sea, they immediately took snowmobiles and rode along the ice to the coast. Young men, let's plunder as much as you like. Kill all the men here and take away all the food and resources. Canute laughed loudly, and the thousands of pirates in the pirate group also laughed wildly, preparing to plunder. As long as today's deal is completed, they will not need to go to sea again within a year. Everyone has heard of the prosperity of Xianhe City, and from now on, they have become famous in the pirate world. What about Uaxu Kingdom? It's not like I'm going to be robbed by them. But after this group of excited pirates rushed ashore, they quickly discovered that something was wrong. Because of the huge Xianhe City, after searching for a long time, they didn't see a single person. This city is like a dead city, and even traces of human activities are difficult to find. Several major bases had transferred their population and resources half a month ago, and all that was left on the ground were some buildings, all of which were buried by heavy snow. It looks as if there has never been any human activity. Only in the harbor area of Cheoyu base, they found some large containers, which contained some supplies. But they were all cars or large machinery, as well as scattered materials, which were of little use and inconvenient to transport. Canute immediately realized something was wrong. He immediately asked the Eclipse person what was going on here. Phoenix Yuanren gave the answer. According to the data, there are only 4 forces left in this city now, and their resources have been concentrated. As long as you kill them, you can easily plunder most of Xianhe City's resources. After Canute thought for a moment, he decided that Phoenix Yuanren had not lied to him. Because Xianhe City has huge resources, and at this time, it is impossible to transfer them away in large quantities. There is only one conclusion: those important resources have been hidden. As long as they can find where they are buried, to be precise, where the local forces are hiding, they can get those materials. Canute immediately ordered his men to find the hiding places of several major forces, even if they had to dig 3 feet into the ground. Little did they know that thousands of people from Cheoyu base were right under their feet. Blizzard City. ZHU Zheng arranged for Zhang Yi and his 3 teams to go out to fight. He himself is also thinking about how to solve the subsequent problems. Both Gideo Demon and Eclipse belong to Ronin organizations, with a maximum scale of only a few hundred people. However, the Xianlang pirates roam the southern seas and possess the power to threaten the country. Large forces are easier to talk to and deal with. The members of the Xianlang pirates dare to attack the Jiangnan region. Their appetite is too big. They must be taught a lesson, otherwise, the southeastern coastal area will never have peace. ZHU Zheng said in a deep voice. Hearing this, Lan Xincheng bowed and said, there are warships patrolling the sea area from the East China Sea region. They must have been guided by the stranger who predicted the eclipse of the moon and escaped the patrol. Moreover, the islands in the southeastern sea are dotted all over, and we can't confirm where their headquarters is now. It's not easy to conquer. ZHU Zheng's eyes became deep. This is not difficult. As long as we can confirm the location of their headquarters, then the problem can be completely solved with a single shot of Death of Love. As for how to confirm the headquarters of the Xianlang pirates, you only need to send out spies, and you will always gain something. But the problem is that the Death of Love cannot be abused. The Sky Dragon pirates are easy to destroy, but once the Death of Love is used, it may get off to a bad start. In the future such weapons will be used extensively across the planet. Lan Xincheng smiled slightly when he heard this. We have other ways to deal with them. Zhu Zeng raised his head and glanced at Lan Xincheng. Oh, what do you think? Lan Xincheng smiled and said, the Starry Sea is full of islands, and they rely on imports for both food and energy. After the end of the world, sea transportation will be more difficult, and their ways of obtaining supplies will be more single. We only need to use our hands and feet in these two aspects to completely deprive them of food. And a large number of their ships have become scrap metal without diesel. Zhu Zeng's expression changed, and he smiled and said, you can always come up with something new for me. Chapter 734 Pirates. With the influence of Huax's state, just communicating with the major areas where the Xianlang pirates import energy and food can cause them huge troubles. The advantage of the Xianlang pirates is not how powerful they are. In fact, tens of thousands of people are not really powerful in combat. Relying on the complex terrain of the Starry Sea, they were able to dominate one side. If there really is a conflict with the surrounding big countries, their trash fish will not be enough to watch. Cut off their food, grass, and energy, and let them all be trapped on the island. This was also the reason why the Heavenly Dragon King did not dare to take action against the Huaxu Kingdom. Zhu Zeng thought for a while and contacted the Shengjing district. Let the Shengjing district come forward to communicate with the major countries surrounding the Xianlang pirates and ask them to stop trading with the Xianlang pirates. Even though the end of the world is coming, the influence of Huaxu Kingdom is still there. Moreover, it is just because of a group of pirates. No one will offend Huaxu Kingdom because of this. So this problem can be solved quickly. This is an afterthought, so I won't go into details here. Qianhe City. The Xianlang pirates began to plunder everywhere. Qianhe City is too big. Although important resources are basically collected by several major forces. However, some large machinery workshops, raw material warehouses, and some small supermarkets have not been completely emptied. These resources that the major forces disdain to clean up are all good things for the pirates. After all, they were in the resource-poor southern seas, and they had to rob for food and clothing. Therefore, the garbage that the major forces in Qianhe City don't want is all good stuff and their rise. In such an environment, it is actually difficult for the bases of several major forces not to be discovered. Because other places are covered with ice and snow, but only the territory of the sanctuary and the three major forces are clean. But no matter how hard they found it, they couldn't open the shelter. A group of pirates who were accustomed to naval battles in the southern waters didn't know how to open the reinforced concrete that was difficult to blast even with missiles. As for Zhang Yi's shelter, it was coveted by many pirates because of its tallness and gorgeousness. They used various weapons outside to try to break through, but they couldn't even break through the wall. Inside the shelter, Uncle Yu and everyone hid on the underground floor, using surveillance equipment to check everything outside. Zhao Heimei and Yang Xia looked worried. Uncle Yu held a machine gun in his hand. His body was wrapped with bullet belts, and his face was full of majesty. Once any danger occurs, he will be the first to stand in front and give others a chance to escape. Zhao Ken said calmly, it's okay, they can't break the shelter's defense. And Zhang Yi and the others will be here soon. At this moment, a deafening sound suddenly sounded outside. A pirate carder turned into a 5-meter tall Saiyan giant and began to violently charge at the main entrance of the shelter. The door didn't move at all, but the sound of the impact was frightening. Even though everyone trusted the shelter's defense capabilities, they still couldn't help but feel uneasy. These pirates have no humanity and leave no one behind wherever they go. In the original battle between the major forces in Qianhe City, some humanity might still be retained, and those who had no power to resist would not be killed. But with these pirates, it would be foolish to take any chances. Zhao Kenna was calm on the surface, but also a little anxious on the inside. She quickly called Zhang Yi to explain the situation here. At this time, an armed helicopter flew straight across the night sky and arrived over Qianhe City. After getting the news about Zhao Kenna, Zhang Yi couldn't help but frown. He immediately ordered the pilot to land the helicopter at the coordinates of his shelter. They are here to kill pirates anyway, and it doesn't matter where they come from. Zhu Zeng has already said that on the battlefield, Zhang Yi is the supreme commander. The pilot immediately followed the order and flew towards the junction of Zishan District and Lujiang District. Soon after, the pirates who were still excitedly attacking the shelter were surprised to hear the roar of a giant dragon coming from above their heads. They looked up and saw that it was not a giant dragon, but a huge armed helicopter. Boom. A deafening sound appeared in mid-air. The giant alien head exploded instantly. Zhang Yi changed his ammunition very calmly and then aimed at the second person. The huge white sniper rifle thundered in his hand, and killing the lower level aliens was not much different from ordinary people. However, in order to save bullets, he only killed aliens among the pirates. Bailey Chanking took the lead and set off. There were still hundreds of meters above his feet. He shouted, "Let's go." Then the whole person fell directly like a cannonball. Others followed. There is no suitable place for a helicopter to land below, but it does not trouble these top aliens at all. In order to avoid becoming a living target in the air, they chose to jump out of the plane directly with enhanced aliens and other aliens. Only Meng Xiaoyu stayed with Zhang Yi. Her function was to investigate and treat, not a martial arts sect. Even Yang Xingxin joined the battle on Huahe. In Zhang Yi's sight, Yang Xingxin rode Huahe and began to test her ability. In the direction where her hands were pointing, two pirates suddenly pounced on each other, strangled each other's necks, and then died together. Yang Xingxin smiled happily. Zhang Yi looked around her, and once he found a threat, he helped her eliminate it as soon as possible. There are more than 100 pirates around the shelter, including 5 aliens. Seeing this group of people falling from the sky, they had no fear. After all, they were people who licked blood from the edge of a knife and were used to life and death. So they picked up their firearms and started shooting. Bailey Chanking took the first step and took out 2 black weapons from the weapon box behind his back and assembled them together. It was a huge Fangshan painted halberd. The painting pole is painted with gold, and the dark halberd body is decorated with deep golden patterns, which looks very domineering. He did not dodge in the face of the pirates' volleys of fire, and ordinary bullets fired at him were not even enough to scratch his body. With just one dash and slash, the dozens of pirates in front of him were cut into 2 pieces like hemp rods. Bailey Chanking himself was a little surprised. Are these pirates so weak? Originally, he thought that the pirates roaming the southern seas were at least somewhat powerful. I didn't expect it to be so weak. But if you think about it carefully, it's quite reasonable. After all, the southern sea area is full of weak countries. Even if dozens of countries are integrated together, they are not as powerful as the Jiangnan region. Therefore, such a group of pirates is enough to dominate one side. But when they really encountered a foreign special force from a big country, they became a bastard force. Boom. Another deafening explosion sounded on the battlefield. Bailey Chanking raised his head and found that the head of the alien who was attacking him had disappeared. It dawned on him. Looking around, I realized that everyone among the pirates who showed supernatural powers had been killed one by Zhang Yi from high altitude. Bailey Chanking couldn't help but swallowed. Even he didn't dare to catch the holy silver bullets shot by Zhang Yi, who was using Leishu and needed to be careful to avoid them. So to deal with other aliens, it's really one shot at a time. Who says thermal weapons can't deal with aliens? As long as the alien uses his ability to shoot bullets, it will be difficult for the alien to deal with them. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 735 Go straight to Chaoyu Harbor. The Tengu team led by Zhang Yi arrived in Xianhe City. The first stop is naturally his base camp. More than 100 pirates were wiped out by the Tengu team in less than a minute. Bailey Chanking grabbed a tongue. Meng Xiaoyu stepped forward and injected him with a shot of truth serum. Soon, the tongue told Zhang Yi and the others all the information about the Xianlang pirates. They are at Chaoyu Harbor. Our captain is Canute, the captain of the 4th division of the Xianlang pirates. The man captured alive was a bastard, and the information he revealed was useful but not much. Zhang Yi asked him about the strength of the 4th team, and he just said that it was very powerful and had few opponents across the southern seas. This statement rings true to him. But to Zhang Yi, it was like bullshit. These fish bellers in the southern seas have not seen many real masters. Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Changqing. Bailey, what do you think? Bailey Changqing thought for a while and said, according to the information obtained by the district, the team coming is the fourth team, Captain Canute. The rating given by the intelligence system indicates that he is a Delta level alien with a power index of 8,000 points. In addition, there are 4 members among his men whose strength is between 4,000 to 6,000 points. But, he pointed to a body in the crowd. There is a Kada who you have killed with one shot. Zhang Yi thought for a while after hearing this. The information given by the district was correct. Among the 3 invading enemy teams, the enemies in Xianhe City were the weakest. There was no way. After all, judging from the headquarters algorithm, Zhang Yi was weaker than 2 Yunli and Gao Changkang. Coupled with Zhang Yi's familiarity with Xianhe City, he was asked to deal with the enemies here first, and then go to Linhe City, to join the Samsara team, to solve the problem of the eclipse. Then let's go directly to Chaoyu Harbor. This battle must be fought quickly, and Linhe City is the main battlefield. Zhang Yi said. As he spoke, he turned on the satellite phone and spoke to Chen Jingwen. Although Chen Jingwen has it underground, many monitoring equipment are deployed around Chaoyu base. Information about the Xianlan pirates can be obtained. After understanding the opponent's arrangement, it will be easier for Zhang Yi and the others to take action. At this moment, the door of the shelter suddenly opened. Uncle Yu and the others ran over. Zhang Yi. They were very happy to see Zhang Yi. Zhao Kena was wearing a thick down jacket with a white fox fur around her neck, looking elegant and moving. Zhang Yi glanced at them and said flatly, the battle is not over yet. You all stay in the shelter, and are not allowed to come out. But Uncle Yu said, let us go over and help you. It's always good to have an extra helper. Fatty Zhu also plucked up the courage to come over. Boss, it's been too long since we've fought together. Take me with you. At least I can control the battlefield. At this time, heavy snow is falling from the sky. In such an environment, having an ice and snow alien is indeed more suitable for fighting. But Zhang Yi still shook his head. You are on standby in the shelter. If necessary, I will call you to act together. Uncle Yu and Fatty Zhu looked a little disappointed. Zhang Yi explained, based on the current judgment, the enemy's strength is within control. We are enough to deal with them. But for the sake of safety, you and the people from the 3 major bases should not take action for the time being. In case of a special situation, you will be required to provide support from the outside. Even though the opponent's strength was the weakest among the 3 areas, Zhang Yi did not dare to be careless. He must make proper arrangements. Of course, this was also done to protect Uncle Yu and others. When Uncle Yu and Fatty Zhu heard this, they looked at the other soldiers of the Tengu team and understood in their hearts that what Zhang Yi said was correct. This is an important war period and they cannot be allowed to act recklessly. The 2 nodded. If necessary, please give us orders at any time. We will rush there immediately. Zhang Yi nodded and was about to leave, but after thinking about it, he took out a box of holy silver bullets from his body and handed it to Uncle Yu. The material used in this thing is relatively rare, and Zhang Yi currently only has more than 3,000 rounds in his hands. Therefore, he only gave Uncle Yu 20 rounds. In addition, he gave Uncle Yu a big black dick. That was a good thing he picked up from the weapons arsenal in Blizzard City. The latest anti-material sniper rifle, GPW2 generation. The power is twice as powerful as the Berets of the previous generation. It was originally an airborne weapon and was not suitable for individual soldier use, but it was just right for Uncle Yu. What Zhang Yi considered was that although Uncle Yu's abilities were relatively monotonous, as a veteran for many years, he had excellent combat qualities. Therefore, giving him heavy sniping and holy silver bullets can allow him to show good strength. This is called lack of strength, and equipment is needed. Uncle Yu's eyes suddenly lit up. He excitedly took over the weapon Zhang Yi gave him, which also meant that Zhang Yi agreed to let him participate in the battle at a critical moment, which was not a joke. At this time, Zhao Ke and Yang Xia came over. Yang Xia handed Zhang Yi a large lunchbox, which contained supernatural food that she had carefully prepared. Save these for the war. Zhao Ke handed Zhang Yi a box of healing medicine. Zhang Yi felt a little warm in his heart, but he didn't have time to be affectionate here, because the war was tight. He nodded, took out the snowmobile, and led the members of the Tengu team towards Assam harbor. On the other two fronts, Yan Yunwei led by Tu Yunli and Samsara team led by Gao Changkang also arrived at their respective battlefields. First, they need to find their opponent. Then, it's a battle of annihilation. However, Tu Yunli's task here was simpler and more direct. After the Jideo demon arrived in Huazhou, more than 500 people began to rush towards the gathering place and began to plunder. From the beginning, they clashed with local forces in Huazhou. After Tu Yunli led Yan Yunwei to arrive, he directly divided his troops to suppress them everywhere. As for Linhai City, the Samsara team did not dare to act rashly after arriving. Gao Changkang knew that Eclipse was well prepared this time, and coupled with the witch's prophecy, it brought great pressure to them. So after the helicopter landed, he was not in a hurry to let the team members take the lead. I will use the power of reincarnation to test them first, and then formulate an action plan. The safest way at the moment is to wait for Zhang Yi and the others to come with support. As long as we can block the power of the other party's prophecy, we will have the absolute upper hand. Linhai City is already a dead city, and there is no need to worry about causing casualties to ordinary people. Therefore, they have enough space to exert their strength. Everything that happened on the three-party battlefield was under the eyes of the Blizzard City executives headed by ZHU Zheng. This time, the entire Blizzard City's attention is focused here. ZHU Zheng absorbed the lesson from the previous episode and decided to hand over the initiative on the battlefield to strangers. Times have changed, and aliens have become the dominant force on the battlefield. And their excessive interference will only lead to the aliens being restrained. Nowadays, the only assistance that the region can provide to the aliens, apart from long-range bombing, is navigation capabilities. Zhang Yi's Tengu squad was divided into two tanks, keeping a distance of 1 kilometer, and headed towards Chaoyu Harbor from the left and right lines. He maintained contact with Chen Jingwen and asked about the news at Chaoyu Harbor. What's the current situation with the pirates? Chen Jingwen replied, about % of the troops are out searching for supplies, and the remaining % are in the harbor area. They seem to know you are coming, so they are relying on our old defenses to set up an ambush. Chapter 736 Obstacles. After getting the information about Chen Jingwen, Zhang Yi felt much more at ease. The pirates are mostly a ragtag group, not a professional army. Therefore, after arriving in Linhai City, the first thing they thought of was to rob supplies. At this time, % of the Xianlang pirates' strength was outside, so those who stayed at the harbor base were definitely a small number of elites led by Captain Canute. Judging from the intelligence provided by the district, it will definitely not be a problem for their Tengu team to eliminate the 4th division of the Xianlang pirates. Bailey Changking has already unfolded the 3-dimensional map in the carriage and started to lay out the battle plan. Captain, what you are good at is super long distance sniping. So you go to the commanding heights of A first, which is here. Qi Guangming, you and the captain are responsible for long range fire suppression. The harbor is a cone-shaped terrain. We attack from the left and right together. The coastline has been blocked by ships assisting the East China Sea region. We are not afraid of them escaping. When the time comes, the pirate leader Canute will be left to Liang Yu and me to deal with him. Others are responsible for cleaning up the mess. There is nothing wrong with Bailey Chanking's combat plan. They carried out encirclement and suppression with absolutely superior force. At the level of high-level aliens, they are at an absolute advantage. Most of the ordinary pirates in the pirate group are nothing more than living targets in their eyes, and they can only shoot their belly with a simple axe. After Bailey Changking finished speaking, he looked at Zhang Yi and asked for his opinion. Zhang Yi nodded. No problem, let's do it like this. Remember, safety comes first. Don't underestimate your opponents. A group of people said in unison, understood. Zhang Yi and the others arrived near Chaoyu Harbor in less than an hour. Then they got out of the car and chose to move forward on foot to avoid being ambushed by the other party. In terms of defense, the suits they wear are much higher than those of armored vehicles. Therefore, the role of the chariot is only for transportation. Everyone move forward in a 3-person team. There is snow in the sky, but the view is not blurry. Bailey Changqing winked at Yi-Jikan. Yi-Jikan understood and immediately took out a silver metal box from the backpack behind him. After the box was opened, 3 small drones flew out. Yi-Jikan controlled them and flew towards the harbor base. But soon, before the 3 drones could capture anything, their field of vision suddenly blurred and the 3 drones fell from the sky. Yi-Jikan frowned. They have a very strong sense of counter-reconnaissance. Although drone technology is relatively mature, it is still a machine and can easily malfunction due to electromagnetic interference. The Xianlang pirates roam the southern seas, and there are many experienced soldiers and mercenaries among them. Bailey Changqing sighed helplessly. After the end of the world, the role that modern technology can play on the battlefield becomes smaller and smaller. Zhang Yi glanced at Meng Xiaoyu and said, "Are you capable of checking the local troop distribution?" Meng Xiaoyu said, "My ability coverage is only 3 kilometers, and our current location is at least 5 kilometers away from there." Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Changqing. Bailey Changqing thought for a moment. Heavy snow now covers almost all buildings. Chaoyu base is surrounded by a large flat snowfield. It is difficult to find suitable cover in the snowfield. If it is close to 3 kilometers, it is very easy to be discovered by the other party. However, if they can get close quickly, they will still have the absolute advantage. Although the pirates are holding on to Chaoyu base, they don't understand the terrain. On the contrary, Zhang Yi had already shown the complete topographic map of Chaoyu base to everyone before setting off. Bailey Changqing quickly made a decision. "Keep going. Zumao, you set off a storm to interfere with their vision. Now everyone is playing their cards clearly, there is no need to hide it." Zumao said, "Yes." His ability is wind, which can be easily brought into play in such blizzard days. As long as he creates a storm, he can form a natural bunker to block his vision. Zumao summoned a huge storm, forming a blizzard in a corner of Chaoyu base. Then the members of the Tengu team took advantage of the cover of the blizzard and rushed directly to the harbor of Chaoyu base. The changes here quickly attracted the attention of the pirates. Canute sat on a chariot piled with snow, showing his teeth as sharp as a shark. "Are the regular troops from Jiangnan region coming? You guys, let's kill." He roared loudly, and the surrounding pirates also raised their guns crazily and roared wildly. These desperados will not be timid, no matter who they face. They are people who put their own life and death at risk. Above the snowfield, gunshots were heard intensively, and the muzzles were pointed at the direction Zhang Yi and the others were heading. But this kind of ordinary bullets can't cause any damage to combat uniforms. Not to mention their poor marksmanship, they couldn't shoot through the blizzard to everyone. Bailey Changqing rushed to the front, and he shouted in a low voice, "Don't worry about those miscellaneous fish, kill the aliens first. Solve the battle as quickly as possible." Everyone is loaded with bullets, and naturally they use standard weapons and origin bullets. Da 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 da. Over at the harbor base, the pirates stepped on the iron boxes, laughing wildly and shooting in this direction. Their alien did not take the initiative to attack, but lurked in the dark, waiting for the opportunity to fight at close range. But just when Zhang Yi and the others were about 1,000 meters away from the harbor defense line, a very unexpected position appeared. Bailey Changqing rushed to the front, and his whole body was bounced back. He rolled on the ground, and then he stabilized his body skillfully. Others were also caught off guard, and bumped into that position. What is this? There's a wall in front, a transparent wall. Invisible to them, there was a transparent wall blocking their way. Zhang Yi's eyes narrowed, and the other person took action. He raised the white owl in his hand and said, "Get out of the way." The team members moved out of the way, and Zhang Yi aimed at the invisible wall and fired. But the holy silver bullet that could break the devil stopped in front of that wall, and then fell straight to the ground. Even holy silver bullets are useless? What kind of ability is this? Just when they were unable to move forward, the sound of an engine sounded in the distance. The group of brave pirates rode snowmobiles, crossed the container defense line of Chaoyu Seaport, and rushed over. I caught it, and it's a big fish. Haha, how many supplies can be exchanged with the Jiangnan region with the lives of these people? It's great. Our trip was indeed not in vain. Chapter 737. Zhang Yi and the others looked at the thousands of pirates rushing towards them, like they were seeing a swarm of hateful locusts. They dare to initiate a charge. Are they really looking for death? Woody sneered disdainfully. They still don't know what kind of enemy they are facing. Pirates can only make waves when they are at sea. When they come to land, they are equivalent to destroying themselves. Let alone the ordinary squad. Even if the Heavenly Dragon King came, they would not dare to risk their lives with the investigation team. So in Woody's eyes, these people are undoubtedly seeking death. Zhang Yi looked at the pirates coldly and said nothing. For some reason, he had an unpleasant feeling in his heart. After thinking for a while, Zhang Yi took a few steps back. As a result, his body once again felt the feeling of being firmly blocked. Zhang Yi touched his hand back, and sure enough, their path had been blocked by that invisible wall. Zhang Yi immediately said, "Look around, we may have fallen into a trap." When everyone heard what Zhang Yi said, they immediately began to observe their surroundings. This observation immediately made them discover something was wrong. At some point, a huge transparent cage appeared around them, trapping them all in it. Even the top of the head and the feet are not missing. At this moment, thousands of pirates armed with weapons surrounded them. There was a ferocious smile on their faces, as if they saw a fish taking the bait. However, they did not rush to attack, nor did they take the initiative to approach. A road separated among the pirates, and a tall, thin man with a shark face came out. He is the captain of the 4th Division of the Cheyenne Long Pirates, Canute. Canute's eyes glanced coldly at the members of the Tengu team. "You're already here. Tell yourself where you are." Zhang Yi did not panic at this time. He didn't even bother to talk to Canute, but instead ordered the players, "Try to break through. Unless the opponent has an Epsilon level alien, I don't believe there is any supernatural barrier that cannot be broken through." Upon hearing this, the team members immediately began to attack and test in every corner. Bullets, supernatural powers, and even fists were used. But no matter how they attacked, the transparent barrier did not produce any changes. It is not very powerful and cannot deflect attacks from Tengu team members. Just like the sea, it absorbs all attacks. Seeing that no one was paying attention to him, Canute shrugged helplessly. "You are so rude. You don't even know basic manners." He stretched out the index finger of his right hand towards everyone. "But I can tell you, don't waste your efforts. As long as you enter this cage, you will not be able to escape no matter what. Now, you are just a bunch of caged birds." Among the pirates, there is an alien named Chen Xiu. In his sight, the huge space where Zhang Yi and others were located was a huge cubic cage. His ability is called drawing the ground as a prison. Just like a trap used for feeding birds, the cage is arranged in advance to lock a range area. After anyone enters it, the prison drawn on the ground is triggered, and the cage is officially activated. Any prey that enters it can no longer escape. But in order to maintain this cage, he himself cannot move. Once his body moves, or his body dies, this technique will be released. This is his ability rule. The smile on Canute's face quickly disappeared, and he waved his right hand. "Kill them." As soon as these words came out, thousands of pirates laughed wildly and pulled the triggers in their hands. From all directions, lines of fire formed by countless bullets were fired into the cage. "Defense!" Zhang Yi shouted. However, his 2-realm knot was deployed immediately, protecting himself, Liang Yu, Huahua and Yang Xingxin. There is no way. The range of the 2-realm Juji is only 1 meter. He is invincible within the radius of 1 meter, but he cannot protect him beyond 1 meter. Fortunately, for everyone, these bullets do not pose much of a threat. So everyone used their own skills to resist this intensive bullet attack. This is wrong. Our attacks can't be carried out, but they can attack us in this area. Is the siege ability used by the opponent one way? Bailey Chanking shouted loudly, while blocking the bullets with the Fangshan, painted halberd in his hand. Zhang Yi was not anxious at all. Although he is in a cage, as long as his extra-dimensional space can be used, he is still invincible. At this moment, an alien among the pirates jumped out. He raised his hands high, and the broken ice on the ground rose into the sky one after another, and then condensed into a giant ice ball with a diameter of dozens of meters in his hands. Under his control, the giant ice ball hit everyone like a cannonball. Bailey Chanking was about to step forward to resist, but Zhang Yi thought that if the ice ball broke, their movement space would be greatly restricted. Even if they have great abilities, it is difficult to display their strength. Let me. Zhang Yi persuaded Bailey Changqing to retreat. Liang Yu, who are you? Protect me. After Zhang Yi said that, he untied the ability of the two realms to end. The dimensional gate blocks the direction of the puck. The ice ball sank directly into Zhang Yi's alien space without any sound. Canute frowned. TCH, is this the person the Phoenix Institute asked me to kill? It's exactly as the intelligence said, and he has some skills in defense. However, as long as you can't leave this cage, sooner or later I will consume you to death. Among the pirates, many have already brought out shoulder-resistant cannons and rocket launchers. Even if they are aliens, their powers will eventually run out sooner or later. When the time comes, their flesh and blood will be mercilessly destroyed by thermal weapons. For the Cheyenne Lang pirates, this is a long hunt, and they have enough patience. However, Zhang Yi opened two-dimensional gates and directly blocked all the attacks from the two directions with the strongest firepower. There is a limit to the devouring energy of the dimensional gate, but with the attack of this kind of thermal weapon, if you want to reach the upper limit of its devouring energy, you have to empty out at least an entire arsenal. But at this moment, Zhang Yi suddenly had a thought in his heart. Attacks from the outside world can pass through the cage walls, but their attacks cannot be beaten out. What is the basis for determining the limit? After thinking of this, Zhang Yi made a bold attempt. He raised his hand and used the dimensional gate to collect a large amount of ammunition. Then he aimed at the pirates outside and reflected them. SHHH. 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 The bullet flew back just as it came. Those pirates did not have combat uniforms on them, and dozens of pirates were beaten to pieces by bullets in an instant. Zhang Yi's eyes suddenly lit up, and a smile appeared on his lips. I know what this cage is about. Chapter 738 Dangerous Trap. Drawing the ground as a prison is a rule-based ability. Zhang Yi learned its rules through his own experiments. That is, once defined as an object that exists within the cage, when the cage is formed, it can no longer leave the scope of the cage. Objects that are not defined are not affected by the rules. For example, Zhang Yi and the others cannot shoot through the cage with bullets. However, the bullets fired by pirates from outside are not affected and can even bounce back. Bailey Changqing and others also discovered this pattern. But the problem is that they still can't figure out how to get out of here. What if the opponent no longer attacks and just spends time with them here, or changes the method of attack? Canute thought so too. After seeing that Zhang Yi could bounce bullets, he immediately issued an order for all pirates to stop shooting. They stopped, but Zhang Yi would not stop. Zhang Yi had a narrow smile on his face and glanced at all the pirates present. The stranger who used supernatural powers to besiege them must be among them. As long as the stranger is killed, the source of this prison's power will disappear immediately. Make some room for me. I count to 3. Everyone squat down. Everyone didn't understand what Zhang Yi wanted to do, but Zhang Yi was the captain, and they still had to follow orders. 1. Zhang Yi opened the door to his own dimension. 2. Among the dimensional gates, thick barrels were exposed. 3. Everyone immediately squatted down. And around Zhang Yi, in the huge space, the muzzles of 500 artillery pieces stretched out from the alien space. These are the large quantities of weapons that Zhang Yi, as the captain of the Tengu team, requested from Blizzard City under his own authority. Weapons that are bulky and difficult for ordinary aliens to carry. Weapons that possess great power, but are slowly being eliminated due to the advent of the Ice Age. In his hands, it is still strong. 500 cannons have been loaded with shells by Zhang Yi, and they are ready to be fired at any time. Today's weapons can be connected to intelligent systems and do not require manual operation. Zhang Yi just used the intelligent operating system of the combat suit to issue the order. In an instant, 500 artillery pieces let out a deafening roar and fired at all the pirates in all directions. No one can imagine such a scene. A person can actually transform into a giant fort in an instant. Those pirates were too confident, so they were less than 200 meters away from the cage where Zhang Yi and the others were. A volley of 500 artillery pieces was like firecrackers exploding cow dung, exploding into pieces everywhere. It's just that their broken bodies are flying all over the sky, really like fireworks, colorful. The moment the artillery appeared, Canute and the other aliens had already reacted. Canute's body quickly grew in size, and his clothes were torn apart by his bulging skin. His skin began to turn grey-blue, the texture of his skin was like a knife, and the corners of his mouth were grinning to the base of his ears. In an instant, he turned into a giant grey-blue shark more than 10 meters long. The huge body stretches across the ground, but is as flexible as if it were underwater. His flexible body swept away dozens of cannonballs, saving the lives of hundreds of pirates behind him. In other directions, there are also strangers exerting their efforts. But even so, they couldn't stop the 500 quick-fire shells. In just a split second, half of the more than 1,000 pirates in division were killed. Zhang Yi sighed secretly in his heart. This salvo can only be used once, because he did not have time to reload the 500 artillery pieces. However, the effect of this attack has been very impressive. It also verified his suspicion. That is, the objects in his different space are not defined by the rules of drawing the ground as a prison. Bailey Changqing and the others watched Zhang Yi put away the 500 artillery pieces. At this time, Bailey Changqing finally understood why Zhang Yi had asked for so many heavy firearms that looked like waste. He and others looked at Zhang Yi with admiration in their eyes. As expected of their captain, he thought of a way to crack the opponent's abilities so quickly. Canute looked at his men who had been turned into pieces and listened to their painful wails. It looked at Zhang Yi with great anger. Damn bastard, I must kill you. It was so huge that half of its body was immersed in the mud. Strangely, the ice, snow, and mud did not hinder him in any way. Everything that comes into contact with his body will ripple like water. Canute stared at Zhang Yi and others in the cage. He couldn't wait to launch an attack immediately and kill Zhang Yi and others. But when he thought of Zhang Yi's abilities, he did not attack rashly. Zhang Yi's different space can absorb almost all attacks and then bounce them back. Anger cannot bring him victory, but will make him make more mistakes. And Zhang Yi is also thinking about how to break this prison. I just killed so many pirates, but the cage is still there. In other words, the caster was not killed at all. Zhang Yi looked at Canute's huge body. That stranger must be protected by him. Although he cannot escape from the prison for the time being, Zhang Yi is still relatively confident in his heart. There is nothing the other party can do against them. But at this moment, a message from Gao Changkang appeared on the tactical eyepiece. Chaos, it's not good. The situation has changed. You must not rush to surround and suppress the pirates. This is probably a huge trap. Zhang Yi's pupils shrank sharply, and a chill ran down his back. What do you mean? This side of Linhai City. Gao Changkang and the members of the Samsara team stood in the ruins. In front of them, there were more than a dozen corpses lying on the ground, and some of them are dressed exactly the same as the Eclipse troops. What appeared here in Linhai City is not the real Eclipse army at all. We were all fooled by them. Gao Changkang's voice kept coming to Zhang Yi's ears. Think about it carefully. If they don't appear in Linhai City, where else can they appear? Who are they most afraid of, and the person they want to kill the most? Zhang Yi's eyes widened, and the ominous feeling enveloped him. My scalp even feels a little numb. The person Eclipse wants to kill the most is naturally the one who can crack Takuchi Mayumi's prophecy ability. Canute opened the shark's huge mouth and shouted, Ronin, why don't you show up yet? Zhang Yi raised his head and looked into the distance. On a low mountain, the faces of several old acquaintances were revealed. Phoenix and Aren and his Eclipse aliens are all here. Chapter 739. The eclipsed stranger did not go to Linhai City, but appeared in Xianhai City, right in front of Zhang Yi and the others. Such a scene directly shocked the entire top management of Blizzard City. Inside the combat command center, ZHU Zheng and others, who were still there and thought the situation was under control, were a little panicked. How so? ZHU Zheng stood up directly from the chair, his sharp eyes scanning everyone present. Our action plan is kept strictly confidential, and we have not disclosed any plans to divide our forces to the outside world. But why do they know that Zhang Yi's Tengu team is in Xianhai City? This mission is top secret. Except for the 3 teams, the only people who know the information are the personnel in the command center. Now it is almost certain that an insider must have revealed the information. Lan Xincheng looked at an area, which was the intelligence team responsible for communicating with the Tengu team. Lan Xincheng walked over there with a cold face. He came to the person in charge, Lynn Cady. What is going on? Why was the information leaked? Lynn Cady is a woman in her 30s. She wears her hair in a meticulous bun and looks dignified and elegant. Even when Lan Xincheng asked, she had a calm smile on her face. But she smiled and turned pale. A stream of blood flowed from the corner of her mouth, and she fell to the ground instantly. There was a burst of exclamation around. Lan Xincheng carefully opened her mouth and said helplessly to Zhu Zeng, she had a cyanide capsule in her mouth a long time ago, and now she has committed suicide out of fear of crime. The situation is already obvious. There are indeed insiders leaking information to Eclipse Moon. But Zhu Zeng didn't understand why someone would be a traitor even if he died. What is all this for? But at the moment, Zhu Zeng has no intention of tracking down those things, because Zhang Yi is facing a huge crisis at this time. Eclipse and the Xianlong pirates teamed up to set up a huge trap just to hunt them down. Can the Samsara team come over to provide support? Lan Xincheng replied, they are in Linhai City. It will take half an hour at the fastest to get there. The fighting on Tu Yunli's side has already begun, and they are unable to support them. Zhu Zeng gritted his teeth and said to Zhang Yi, try to delay as much as possible. I will send the Samsara team to support you right away. Zhang Yi's eyes were cold. He realizes there is a ghost. After all, he still touched some people's cakes, so much so that they wanted to kill him. But how could it be so easy to kill him? Zhang Yi believed no one, including Zhu Zeng. So he directly cut off the call with headquarters. This sudden action made Zhu Zeng do stunned, but he didn't have the right to be angry at what they did. Inside Blizzard City, which he thought was impregnable, a spy from Eclipse appeared. This is his responsibility as Commander-in-Chief. Even if Zhang Yi doubts him, it is reasonable. After Zhang Yi cut off the call, he immediately said to everyone around him, an undercover agent from Eclipse has appeared in the headquarters. Now follow my instructions and stop contacting the headquarters. The current situation is very obvious. This is a game, waiting for Zhang Yi and others to get into it. They can't trust anyone now, they can only trust their own strength. Gao Changkang was still saying to Zhang Yi, we'll rush there right away, just hold on for a while. Don't let anything happen. Zhang Yi didn't say anything and cut off Gao Changkang's communication. He couldn't tell who was a human and who was a ghost. In short, let's win this battle first. Phoenix Inan stood on the low hill and lit a cigarette for himself. Let us start. Eclipse and the Xianlong pirates join forces. With such a powerful force, it is absolutely possible to eliminate an investigation team. What's more, the Tengu team is also recognized as the weakest investigation team. Captain Zhang Yi's official ability index rating is only 8200 points. Even the team was improvised. On the Blizzard City side, Zhu Zeng asked Lan Xincheng to investigate whether there were any insiders in the city. On the one hand, he ordered the Samsara team to quickly go to Xianhai City for support. And what can he do now? Can't do anything. It is impossible to use missiles or the death of love to attack indiscriminately, because Zhang Yi and the others are also there. He could only watch quietly, hoping that Zhang Yi could persist until the Samsara team came to rescue him. On the battlefield, the attack of Eclipse Moon and the Xianlong pirates had already begun. The first person to take action was Jinguji Seiichiro. He took out 10 charms from his pocket, threw them into the air, and then made seals with his right hand. I command the gods and all the Tathagata. God-given Dharma bodies are as urgent as laws and regulations. 10 white charms raised a layer of white smoke in the air, and then turned into 10 black hounds. Gone. This is a kind of style that Zhang Yi has never seen before. They are as black as ink, giving people an evil and terrifying feeling. The 10-headed demon dog roared and rushed towards Zhang Yi. Although Zhang Yi doesn't know what their abilities are, as long as the dimensional door is opened, all their attacks will be in vain. In the blink of an eye, all 10 black demon dogs were taken into the different space by Zhang Yi. But at this moment, Zhang Yi saw the corners of Jinguji Seiichiro's raised lips. Dimensional space. It can absorb all things, but the amount it can carry is limited. You only need to pour energy that exceeds the limit into it to destroy it. He put the middle and index fingers of his right hand together, put them to his mouth, and shouted in a deep voice, destroy. Zhang Yi felt that in his own extra-dimensional space, the 10-headed demon dogs seemed to sense something, and a violent explosion suddenly occurred. This is a Shikigami specially made by Jinguji Seiichiro. In order to deal with Zhang Yi's extra-dimensional ability, the self-destructing demon dog. Sensing the explosion in the different space, Zhang Yi was also a little moved. Because the energy contained in these demon dogs is very terrifying. At the same time, he also understood one thing. All of his information was also told to the Eclipse people by the insider. This is a hunt for him. It's like, exactly the same as the previous hunt for Deng Shentang. Someone wants Deng Shentang to disappear from the Jiangnan region first. There are also people who want Zhang Yi to disappear from the Jiangnan region. Zhang Yi's eyes were extremely cold, even colder than the ice and snow between heaven and earth at this time. However, after Jinguji Seiichiro confidently used the self-destructing demon dog, he found that Zhang Yi was not affected in any way. He took a few steps back in surprise. How is it possible? The detonating talisman I used has the equivalent of 2 tons of TNT. Even a captain level figure would choose to avoid a self-destructing demon dog of this magnitude, rather than dare to prove its edge. Could it be that the information is wrong? There was a rare drop of sweat on Jinguji Seiichiro's forehead. This kind of thing was beyond his expectations and something he couldn't control, which made him start to panic in his heart. Chapter 740. This is my home field. Zhang Yi's eyes were as cold as the snow in the Arctic ice field that never melts. Being betrayed made him feel extremely angry, but at the same time, his mind was extremely clear and he did not let his emotions interfere with his judgment. Maybe it's just because he has seen too many distortions of human nature in the last days, so even if he is betrayed, he seems to be somewhat used to it. Fortunately, I hid it deep enough. Zhang Yi felt so emotional. The opponent misjudged his strength and prepared insufficient attacks. And this is my home court. Today I want to see who is the hunter and who is the prey. Zhang Yi opened a new communication channel and whispered, "Let's do it." The Xianlang pirates and the people of Eclipse are planning to take action to surround and kill the Tengu team who cannot escape from the drawing ground as a prison. But at this moment, a violent explosion suddenly occurred where they were standing. Above the ground, a shock wave suddenly rose into the sky, washing the corpses of many pirates into the sky. Go just 100 meters below their feet. There is a huge 3-story shelter covering tens of thousands of square meters. And the place where they are is called Cheoyu Harbor. This is a post-apocalyptic military base, and Chen Jingwen has buried countless traps and explosives around the harbor. This is one of Zhang Yi's backup options. This is Xianhei City, my Zhang Yi's home court. Zhang Yi said coldly. The Xianlang pirates and Eclipse were caught off guard. But before they could stabilize their steps, another huge blizzard fell in the sky, and strong winds blew up, disrupting people's vision. Phoenix in narrowed his eyes. Something's wrong. Among the Xianlang pirates, an alien responsible for investigation since the origin of these strange phenomena. He said to Canute in horror, "Captain, many enemies suddenly appeared in the northeast and northwest." Canute said in a deep voice, "Where did the enemy come from?" When they came to Xianhei City, they searched for local residents everywhere and wanted to rob them of their supplies. But in the end, nothing was found. Not a single living person was seen. Now, where did the large army come from? Those who came were none other than others. It was the reinforcement from Yangsheng Base and Qingpei Base. In addition, Uncle Yu and Fatty Zhu are also in the team. From the beginning, Zhang Yi was worried that this battle would be too difficult, so he gave instructions to people at several major bases in advance. Once they start fighting, these people will be waiting nearby to listen to Zhang Yi's orders. After all, there is no such reason. The boss is charging forward, while the younger brothers stay at home and do nothing. Zhang Yi gave orders to Zhao Hanglian and the others, and was responsible for disturbing the view here and causing chaos. But don't get really close to the battlefield. Zhang Yi still has a good idea of their strength. Zhao Hanglian led dozens of soldiers to a commanding height. Fatty Zhu and Zhuge Qingting worked together to use storms, ice, and snow to create chaos, and help Zhang Yi create opportunities to escape. Uncle Liu, on the other hand, silently held the GPW-2 generation anti-material sniper rifle given to him by Zhang Yi, set up the firearm at a high place, and began to snipe at the pirates. Fatty Zoo said with some worry. The boss won't let us get close. Is this level of harassment going to work? They don't seem to be many in number, but in fact they have very few combat capabilities. The number of aliens was less than 10. There's no harm in bluffing, but it won't be enough in a real fight. Sure enough, the explosion at Cheoyu Harbor only caused a brief shock to the Xianlang pirates and Eclipse. After coming back to their senses, they discovered that the enemy that suddenly appeared was not the reinforcement from Blizzard City, but the aborigines of Xianhai City. This made them feel at ease immediately. Canute sneered, "They're just some trash fish. They can't make any waves." Canute immediately arranged a team to deal with Zhao Hanglian, Xingshan and other aboriginal people in Xianhai City. And he, with his strangers, and the Eclipse organization, planned to kill Zhang Yi and others in the cage first. But under the cover of the blizzard, no one saw what Zhang Yi was doing. He took a deep breath, already knowing in his heart that now was the time to fight. The enemies we faced this time were not that easy to deal with. Fortunately, I have never exposed my true trump card. Zhang Yi stood in the center of the cage, his hands cupped into a ball in the air, and a black lightning suddenly began to condense between his palms. Crackling. There were more and more lightnings, thicker and thicker, and the strange and twisted power seemed like little black snakes swimming. That kind of terrifying power made Bailey Changqing and others around them widen their eyes and subconsciously take several steps back. Only Liang Yu, Huata, and Yang Xingchen knew what this power was. Several people were protecting Zhang Yi and did not tolerate anyone coming to disturb him. The black unstable substance became denser and denser, condensing into a huge black sphere in Zhang Yi's palm. Then with the movements of Zhang Yi's hands, he slowly compressed it and turned into a black ball only the size of a volleyball. "Get away from me!" Zhang Yi shouted. Everyone in the Tengu team quickly got out of the way. Zhang Yi threw the black ball high and then instantly activated the ability to accelerate 20 times. He jumped up, more than 3 meters high, and then hit the void ball with his right fist. Call out. The black ball of void instantly cut through the space, passed through the invisible cage, and then flew straight to the direction of Canute. At the same time, Canute, who was still dispatching his troops, suddenly felt an early warning in his heart. The instinct of the beast let him know that danger was approaching. But he was too close to Zhang Yi, only less than a kilometer away. His misjudgment of Zhang Yi's strength prevented him from escaping. Instead, fight hard. The huge shark mouth makes a piercing scream. He tried to block the attack with his huge and strong body. Because behind him, there is Chen Xiaoyu, the magician who drew the ground as a prison. The next moment, the entire space was enveloped by a dark sphere that suddenly rose from the earth. It was a giant sphere with a radius of several hundred meters, exuding terrifying destructive power. The power contained in it caused the faces of the Phoenix Academy and others on the short mountain not far away to change greatly. Wow. A dull and painful cry came from the black ball. Canute's huge body rose into the sky from the black ball and landed hard on the ground in the distance. At this time, he was covered in blood and looked extremely miserable. There were hideous and terrifying scars on his hard body. The scales comparable to a loy were opened, and the flesh and blood were blurred, as if tens of thousands of machetes had torn open countless wounds. Chapter 741. Canute never imagined that with his animal type, Blue Shark, ability in full defense, he would be so deeply injured by Zhang Yi's move. He roared at Phoenix Yuan Ren, who was not far away. "You lied to me. His strength is not what you said." After this move, almost everything about Canute's original location had been quietly erased, except for Canute, who was still alive. The hundreds of pirates behind him, including Chen Xiaoyu, the person with the ability to draw the ground as a prison, were all wiped out. Such a scene shocked everyone present. Of the thousands of members of the Xianlang pirates, only 400 are left at this time. Canute blocked Zhang Yi's void strike head on, causing him to be seriously injured. The other minions were frightened and overwhelmed. The members of the Tengu team were also stunned on the spot. With their strength, they couldn't even imagine how terrifying this move was. True, captain level strength. Yi stared at Zhang Yi and murmured these words. Even Deng Shentang doesn't have such a terrifying large-scale AoE attack capability. This is definitely captain level, no mistakes. The standard for captain level is a power level of 9,000 points upwards. Phoenix Injin and Jinguji Chiichiro and other Eclipse members also had their eyes widened. Damn it, that guy gave us wrong information. What kind of deputy captain level combat power is there with a power index of only 8200 points? At this time in Blizzard City, ZHU Zheng and others all had expressions of astonishment on their faces. It only took less than a second for the expression on ZHU Zheng's face to change from shock to smile. He sat down firmly on the chair and folded his hands on the table. I thought he had hidden it deep enough before. But we didn't expect that he has never revealed his true strength in front of our eyes. I was originally worried that Zhang Yi would be killed by the Cheyenne Long pirates and Eclipse. But now, ZHU Zheng and other people in the Combat Command Center have greatly increased their confidence. Judging from this situation, Zhang Yi and the others will definitely be able to hold on until the Samsara team arrives for support. ZHU Zheng was unable to contact Zhang Yi, so he contacted Gao Changkang again and asked him to quickly go to Cheyenne City for support. How is the situation over there with Zhang Yi and the others? Gao Changkang's tone was full of tension. ZHU Zheng smiled mysteriously. Don't worry too much. As long as you arrive in time, we will definitely win. Zhang Yi is much stronger than we thought. Gao Changkang was a little surprised, and then he laughed. It's exactly what Bailey said. He is like a farmer who is used to living in poverty. He always likes to hide food in good years to prepare for famine. This time, he really caught a big fish. Those who thought he was weak and deliberately set traps to ambush him were very upset at this time. Perhaps, at this time, only Bailey Changking and the people in the Black Robe team had a clear understanding. They thought of the battle in Cheyenne City a few months ago. The predicament at this time is nothing compared to that time. They had fought against Epsilon class aliens. It was Zhang Yi who led them to defeat Yuan Kangai and absorb Yuan Kangai's origin. Therefore, no matter how powerful Zhang Yi shows, they can understand it. Wu Di suddenly said in surprise, the barrier is gone. Zhang Yi said calmly, the real battle has just begun. The members of the Cheyenne Long pirates were never regarded by Zhang Yi as a truly dangerous opponent from the beginning. The only ones who put pressure on Zhang Yi were those guys who appeared on the top of the mountain, the corroding moon. When Yi, Zumao and Liu Yinghao saw them, they could not hide the hostility in their eyes. It was they who brought down the once prosperous Celestial team. Even their captain Deng Shentang was forced to self-destruct. This hatred is unforgettable to them and will never be forgotten. Zhang Yi raised his head and stared at the people standing on the short mountain. And the Phoenix Academy and the others were also staring at Zhang Yi. Both sides know that the most critical thing to end this war is to get rid of each other. Evergreen and ZHU Zheng's voice came from the communication. He hesitated for a moment and then said to Zhang Yi, ZHU sure, he said, that the Samsara team will arrive in half an hour at most. Let me hold on for another half hour. Zhang Yi glanced at him coldly and expressed no comment. He couldn't make up his mind whether ZHU Zheng could be trusted. Since you can't make up your mind, it's better to believe in yourself first. Leave Phoenix Academy to me. You are responsible for taking care of the others. Bailey. Zhang Yi, as agreed before, asked Bailey Changking to be responsible for arranging tactics. Now the drawing ground is a prison has been lifted. And the distance between them and the enemy is very close, and there will undoubtedly be a big melee next. At this time, everyone has to rely on their own abilities. Let Bailey Changking arrange the distribution of combat power. He only needs to hold back the opponent's generals half an hour. He can try to believe ZHU Zheng once, but he won't believe it all. Bailey Changking took the order and immediately began to assign tasks to the members of the Tengu team. And Zhang Yi gave instructions to the people around him. Liang Yu, you need to help me hold back one of the main force of Eclipse. Huata, protect Xingxin. In terms of speed, not many of the strangers here can catch up with you. Run away when necessary. Saving your and Xingxin's lives is the most important. Liang Yu nodded vigorously. Okay. She clenched the looming in her hand tightly. She wondered if there was some connection among the top warriors. Tsukamoto Nobunaga on the top of the mountain looked at her. Separated by a distance of several hundred meters, the murderous look in their eyes made the air become chilly. I have found my match, Liang Yu said. Huata, on the other hand, has already grown to giant size. It hid Yang Xingxin in its thick hair, leaving only her neck and head exposed. and its hair, which is stronger and sharper than steel, is the best protective layer. While Zhang Yi was dispatching troops and generals, Feng Huang Yuanren was not idle either. Zhang Yi's sudden burst of terrifying power made him feel that the situation was beyond his control. Since he started to establish the organization at the critical moment, relying on Takuchi Mayumi's divination, he has never encountered such an unpredictable situation in battle. Even if he encounters an opponent that cannot be dealt with, he can detect the danger in advance and escape early. But he didn't expect that on the other side of the sea, he would meet his nemesis. Once people stay in a certain field for a long time and suddenly leave the comfortable space, they will feel extremely uncomfortable. It's like a person who is accustomed to the internet will be at a loss when he suddenly arrives in a mountain village without internet. Phoenix Yuanren felt so uncomfortable when he met Zhang Yi, and this feeling also made him eager to eliminate Zhang Yi. Jinguji, come with me and kill the opponent's captain first. Phoenix and Jin said to Jinguji Seiichiro next to him. Jinguji Seiichiro pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, rarely denying Phoenix and Jin's opinion. Because he knew that Phoenix Yuanren was a guy who didn't know the danger. Once he asked others for help, it only meant that his opponent really made him feel unconfident. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 742 Respective Opponents. Through the chaos caused by the blizzard created by Zhuge Qingting and Zhu Fati, Zhang Yi broke through the barrier of painting the ground as a prison. And the real melee begins. Bailey Changqing arranged the team members to perform tasks in an orderly manner and spoke very quickly. Qi Guangming, Yi Zhikeng, Meng Xiaoyu, Zhu Mao, Lu Yinghao, you are responsible for cleaning up the pirate group. Others, join me and deal with Eclipse's run-in first. Canyu's strength should not be underestimated either. According to the headquarters analysis of his abilities, his strength is at the level of deputy captain. However, because of his arrogance, he took the initiative to take Zhang Yi's void move, causing him to be seriously injured. This resulted in a sudden reduction in the pressure the entire Xianlang pirates put on the Tengu team. Therefore, Bailey Changqing decided to concentrate its superior forces and annihilate Eclipse first. The few people sent out were all strangers who were relatively weak in the Tengu team and were good at cleaning up miscellaneous soldiers. Several strangers took the order and immediately rushed over to kill the soldiers of the Xianlang pirates before they could recover. At this time, on the Eclipse organization side, Dagam Yangjin could no longer hold back his impulse. As a murderous maniac, keeping him on standby wears away his patience. Especially when he saw Zhang Yi's powerful opponents. He even tore his shirt to pieces without paying attention to Phoenix Yuanren next to him, and jumped off the mountain with the huge dragonfly cutter in hand. Brown air currents rose into the sky, carrying his long hair to the sky. After the transformation, he looked like a terrifying ferocious beast with ferocious fangs in his mouth. His eyes were fixed on Zhang Yi. Hey, are you the strongest one? Come on, let's have a good fight with me. The dragonfly cut in his hand was pointed directly at Zhang Yi's head. The great work came to Yanjin. Everyone here knows this person's name and appearance. He showed amazing strength in both battles. This is a very terrifying opponent. The data analysis conducted by the Jiangnan Region Scientific Research Department gave a result of a power index of 7,200 points. Faced with such an opponent, Bailey Changqing took the initiative to walk out before Zhang Yi could speak. Rodin, how about I come fight with you? Bailey Changqing said coldly. Dagam Yangjin's eyes fell on him. Among masters, one can feel the strength of the opponent just by relying on his aura. Except Zhang Yi. In Bailey Changqing's body, Dagam Yangjin sensed that special smell, the same kind of smell. They are all strangers who pursue the ultimate in power. Dagam Yangjin raised the corner of his mouth. He did not give a positive answer, but rushed over like a hurricane. Raised dragonfly cut with one hand, then slashed down suddenly. It was so late, and so fast, that no one saw clearly how fast he was, and no one saw when Bailey Changqing raised the painting pole and the square halberd. Only a clang sound was heard, and the sound of metal collision stung people's eardrums. The solid land under their feet, which had been bombarded by bombs, exploded at this time. The earth within a radius of 50 meters sank, and a huge pit was created by their impact. Bailey Changking blocked Dagon Yanjin's blow. He raised a sneer at the corner of his mouth. "Is this the only level? I thought you were so good." Bailey Changking raised one hand and directly knocked away Dagon Yanjin's dragonfly kiri. Dagon Yanjin took 3 steps back. His face did not show anger, but ecstasy. He actually found someone who could compete with him in strength. Woody crossed his arms with an expression of confidence in the everlasting future. Uncle Bailey's title is Iron Fist. In terms of wrist strength, he has never lost to anyone. Having said that, he added another sentence. Even captain level. Dagon Yanjin and Bailey Changking have finally met their opponents. Both of them are purely strength-based aliens. As for the aliens, who are extremely homogeneous, the battles between them are bound to be extremely brutal. The two of them were now in the center of the two forces, and they both knew that this was not the best battlefield. So Dagon Yanjin jumped up and jumped into the distance. At the same time, he didn't forget to turn around and give Bailey Changking a fierce look. "This is an invitation to fight." Bailey Changking frowned and looked back at Zhang Yi. As one of the top combatants of the Tengu team, he did not dare to leave the formation easily and had to see how the captain arranged it. Zhang Yi nodded. Dagon Zhi Yanjin needs to be dealt with by Bailey Changking, because among the strangers under him, only Bailey Changking and Liang Yu can fight against Dagon Zhi Yanjin. After receiving Zhang Yi's approval, Bailey Changking no longer hesitated, holding Fang Shan's painted halberd in his backhand, and chased towards Dagon Yanjin like a tiger. Seeing this scene, Tsukamoto Nobunaga no longer waited. He wants to pick his own opponents. Wearing a signed kimono, he put his hands in his loose robe and jumped down from the sky in front of Zhang Yi and others. And his eyes never left Liang Yu from beginning to end. Top warriors all have strong telepathy with each other. This is not the first time the two have met. Last time in Jiangning City, if Zhang Yi hadn't stopped him, Liang Yu might have fought with Nobunaga. At that time, Liang Yu was definitely no match for Nobunaga. But now, that's not necessarily the case. Nobunaga didn't say anything, but the way he looked at Liang Yu changed. No longer as lazy as before, but as sharp as a famous sword. Even the great Prajna Changwang and Anzang Dojish in his arms were trembling slightly. "I'm going." Liang Yu held down the long knife with one hand and said to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded. When Liang Yu passed by him, Zhang Yi whispered, "Win at all costs." This sentence made Liang Yu pause slightly. She understood what Zhang Yi meant. Liang Yu was silent for a moment and nodded slowly. She and Nobunaga stared at each other, and almost at the same time, they quickly disappeared from the battlefield. They need to find a quiet place to duel in the way of warriors. But apart from them, the others don't seem to have a strong samurai plot, and they don't advocate one-on-one individual heroism. Whether it is Zhang Yi or Feng Huang Yuanren, they have only one thought in their minds: kill the opponent as quickly as possible, and at the minimum cost at all costs. Spread. Zhang Yi gave orders to everyone. And just when they were executing this order, the gravity of the earth in the area they were in suddenly increased tenfold. This makes some people who are not good at running suddenly feel stunned. Fortunately, Zhang Yi had long known that the opponent had a stranger who could control the gravity of the field, so he warned the team members in advance not to position themselves too concentratedly. Therefore, this impact did not last long, and everyone dispersed in all directions. However, even if it was only for a short moment, it gave Eclipse the opportunity to attack. Jinguji Ichiro and Phoenix and Jin join forces to behead Zhang Yi. Chapter 743, Demonic Karma Flame. Heavy gunner Kurosawa Rakiga, a member of the Eclipse team, lifted up his large trench coat, revealing the thick black hand cannon in his right hand. Aim at Zhang Yi and others below and start bombarding. The hand cannon condensed a huge beam of light and aimed it at Zhang Yi. But in the end, the supernatural attack was like a mud cow entering the sea and was directly absorbed by the alien space. Phoenix Yuanren formed seals with his hands at a speed that was too fast to be seen clearly, and then took out dozens of paper figurines in one go. With a burst of smoke rising up, a dozen huge shikigami were summoned by him. except for the 5 major Shikigami with his core abilities. The rest were all created by him to specifically deal with the self-destructing demon dog used by Zhang Yi. There is an upper limit to his use of different dimensions. As long as his energy is overloaded, his abilities will be useless. This information was included in Zhang Yi's personal file by the Jiangnan region headquarters. The source of the information was a battle at Zishan base against Zhang Yi's shelter about half a year ago. Zhang Yi's first energy overload in another space was caused by the explosion of 500 tons of TNT. Since then, the weakness of the different space has been exposed. That is, the energy it absorbs is not unlimited. And this secret was also told to Eclipse by the insider in Blizzard City. However, there is an unexpected thing here. That is, the inner ghost does not know that Zhang Yi's strength has reached the captain level. And the upper limit of the accommodation energy level of other dimensions is far from what it was originally. Go with. Jinguji Seiichiro activated his Shikigami and began to attack Zhang Yi. A group of self-destructing demon dogs took the lead. His purpose is simple. As long as Zhang Yi's dimensional gate is broken, Zhang Yi's combat effectiveness will drop by more than 70%. Then they can easily kill Zhang Yi. How could Zhang Yi not know the other party's purpose? But Seiichiro Jinguji used Yang Mao. If Zhang Yi doesn't use the dimensional gate to block it, then he won't be able to use his own power to resist the self-destruction of this Shikigami. Even if he could escape, the people around him would be killed. Huata, stay away. Zhang Yiping retreated from everyone around him and opened the dimensional door without hesitation to absorb the self-destructing demon dog. Then he allowed the self-destructing demon dog to explode in his extra-dimensional space. Jinguji Seiichiro's face showed a joyful smile. There are many more self-destructive gods in him. In the past time, he has been thinking of ways to deal with Zhang Yi, their most troublesome opponent. But at this moment, he noticed that the corners of Zhang Yi's mouth slowly raised. Do you really think you've got me? The smile on Zhang Yi's lips became stronger and stronger. Then he opened his palm towards the strangers, who were eclipsing the moon. It seems that your information is not complete. I can deflect all physical attacks. And the energy of explosion is also a physical form. In the palm of his hand, the dimensional door suddenly opened. All the energy of the self-destructing demon dog that was originally absorbed by him found an outlet at this time, and turned into a huge energy beam that penetrated towards the top of the mountain. That was the energy of a dozen self-destructing demon dogs, and the light emitted turned the entire battlefield white. The power of this blow is not even much worse than Zhang Yi's condensed void. The members of the Eclipse group were shocked. If they were hit head-on by this energy, they would definitely die. At the critical moment, Phoenix Yuanren stood in front of this energy beam. The phoenix blood in his body burned crazily, and a huge 3-headed phoenix appeared behind him. Facing Zhang Yi's menacing blow, he opened his hands and blocked it with his body. Boom. Huge energy waves exploded on the top of the mountain, but Phoenix Yuanren was able to endure them all. His body was almost disintegrated, and his clothes were completely burned, exposing his internal bones and organs. Then, relying on the immortality ability of the phoenix, his body quickly returned to its original shape. But his expression was terrifyingly gloomy. Zhang Yi returned the power of Jinguji Seiichiro's self-destructing demon dog, which shows that they made a huge mistake in judging Zhang Yi's ability. I originally thought that Zhang Yi's alien space was a water tank. As long as there was enough water, the water tank could burst sooner or later. But I didn't expect that Zhang Yi's alien space was like a spring. Unless the one-time injection force is too large, causing the spring to lose its characteristics. Otherwise, he can completely rebound the energy within the absorption range. Phoenix Courtyard was naked and looked at Zhang Yi with some annoyance. Jinguji couldn't help but cover his forehead. Is this the alien with the best defense in the legend? No matter what kind of superpower it is, as long as it is developed to the extreme, it will show great power. What Zhang Yi focuses on is not offense, but defense. Especially after seeing many powerful strangers die, he became more determined in his thoughts. As strong as Deng Shentang and Yuan Kangai can be killed, how can anything in this world be truly safe? Only by wrapping his little quill tightly, growing lotuses every step of the way, and never taking risks easily, can he survive in this dangerous apocalypse. Only I can deal with this guy. You go deal with the others. Phoenix Academy Ren said in a deep voice. He glanced at Jumanobu Satoru and Takuchi Mayumi. Shimanamono, protect Mayumi. Shimanamono Satoru nodded. Don't worry, boss. I will protect Miss Mayumi even if I die. Behind him stood 10 people wrapped in black cloaks, each tall and silent, giving people an eerie and powerful feeling. Phoenix Academy turned to look at Zhang Yi in the battlefield, and then he jumped deep and rushed towards Zhang Yi. Bloody streaks ran across his skin, as red as blood. 10 bright red blood beads popped out from his fingertips and shot towards Zhang Yi. The 10 blood beads were round, and each one had strange lines swimming around. But while in the air, it suddenly turned into 10 fire crows, subduing demonic flame. Seeing the Phoenix Academy taking action in person, Zhang Yi's eyes became extremely serious. He learned some of Phoenix Yuanren's abilities from the information sent back by Deng Shentang before he died. However, it is not comprehensive. Likewise, Phoenix Yuanren didn't fully understand his abilities. Therefore, if the two of them fight to the death, the relationship between victory and defeat will be difficult to tell clearly. But at this time, he was on the battlefield, and it was impossible for Zhang Yi to escape. Once he's gone, everyone else will be massacred indiscriminately. Therefore, what Zhang Yi chose was to entangle. The Phoenix Academy already knew about his spatial power, but they deliberately released the Fire Phoenix attack, which showed that the Fire Crow was unusual. Zhang Yi did not choose to use a different space to store it, but directly opened the double doors and teleported hundreds of meters away in an instant. But the 10 Fire Phoenixes seemed to be alive and quickly pursued him. It seems that there is no end to death. Chapter 744. Zhang Yi's heart moved, and he turned up his microphone so that his voice could echo across the entire battlefield. In 10 minutes, the reincarnation team from Linhei City next door will arrive on the battlefield. As long as we hold on for 10 minutes, you will lose. So we won't fight you, because you have no chance of victory. Attack on the heart. What he wants is the anxiety in the hearts of the Heavenly Dragon Pirates and the people of Eclipse. Unexpectedly, the Phoenix Academy shouted coldly, then we will kill you all the more quickly. We won't give you a chance to reunite. Feng Huang Yuanren was shaped like a dragon and rushed towards Zhang Yi as fast as lightning. The 10 fire crows formed a huge cage in the air, blocking all directions in which Zhang Yi could escape. Zhang Yi took out the white owl, pointed it at the fire crow and started shooting. Holy silver bullets can destroy demons and have a certain ability to restrain such things. Bang, bang. Zhang Yi raised his gun and hit 2 fire crows. Sure enough, after being shot, the fire crows dissipated directly in the air. But the time he raised his hand gave other fire crows the opportunity to approach. 3 fire crows attacked from 3 directions, already surrounding him. What the hell is it? Zhang Yi had to deploy the 2 realms to absorb the fire crow's attack. After the 3 phoenixes entered Zhang Yi's alien space, they disintegrated in the air and turned into streaks of bloody smoke. A very uncomfortable feeling emerged in Zhang Yi's heart. He felt very clearly that his alien space was being eroded. It's like 3 drops of sewage falling into clean seawater and then spreading rapidly. Unfortunately, it is not an energy-based attack, but is similar to a supernatural toxin, and Zhang Yi cannot expel it. Fortunately, Zhang Yi's alien space was large enough so that it was not completely destroyed. But after this kind of attack accumulates to a certain extent, it will definitely make it impossible to open the dimensional door. It turns out it was this thing that killed the Phoenix Academy. Even a powerful alien like the Phoenix Academy cannot stop the erosion of this supernatural speed. It can even be said that it is a poisonous flame fueled by supernatural powers. You can't force this kind of thing. Zhang Yi was not panicked. This amount was far from enough to close his alien space. But if he continues to consume it, it will be a matter of time before his abilities fail. Without opening the dimensional door, he would not be able to face the Phoenix Academy's close attack. Thoughts in his mind were going very fast, but in reality there was almost no time left for him. The Phoenix Academy brought a large group of fire crows and killed them. Zhang Yi turned his left hand, and another Baxio pistol appeared in his left hand. He aimed at the Phoenix Academy and launched a strike at 20 times speed. The Phoenix Academy also didn't dare to take Zhang Yi's bullets. The body that was attacking at high speed rolled in the air and dodged the bullets that were dozens of times the speed of sound. Zhang Yi took advantage of this opportunity and pressed a button on his wrist. The captain level combat uniform specially made by the Deng group suddenly bulged out on his back, and 2 powerful propulsion devices appeared on his back. As blue flames spurted out backwards, he flew high into the sky like a rocket. This technology has been around since half a century. It was originally developed as an individual combat technology, but later people discovered that human activities in the air are very inflexible. If such a weapon appears on the battlefield, it will most likely make soldiers a living target as the technology is gradually phased out. However, there is a situation where this technology can be re-enabled. That's when soldiers don't have to worry about other people's long-range sniping in the air. For example, Zhang Yi, who has the ability to connect 2 realms, is a perfect fit for this kind of flying prop. Zhang Yi has been thinking about how to create a commanding height for himself in the plain area that can be used for long-range sniping. Later, when he went to the Deng group, he found his answer. That's the ability to fly. So he asked the technology department of the Deng group for help to add a flying function to his combat uniform. This technique is very easy to implement. Although the energy consumption will be greater under extremely cold temperatures, there is absolutely no problem in maintaining him for an hour of flight. So on the battlefield, such a strange landscape appeared. Everyone was having a big melee on the ground, and suddenly someone rose into the sky and left the battlefield. Phoenix Academy Ren also looked up at the sky in astonishment. No matter how fast he was, he couldn't jump up and attack Zhang Yi in the air. What's this bastard doing flying so high? Phoenix Academy Ren smiled evilly. If you don't come down, I will kill all your beloved teammates. Zhang Yi, who was in the air, looked down at the earth. The humans under his feet were as small as ants. He had to use tactical goggles to see their appearance clearly. He had a panoramic view of the entire battlefield. Even if someone tried to shoot at him with a firearm, they were all absorbed into his extra-dimensional space. And his eyes swept across the earth, and he suddenly caught a very wonderful target. Takuchi Mayumi hiding behind a low mountain. Got you. Before Phoenix Academy died, he delivered an extremely important piece of information to the Blizzard City headquarters. Mayumi Takuchi has the ability to help people see the future. This is why, when Deng Shentang fought against Phoenix Yuanren, even though Phoenix Yuanren was deprived of his 5 senses, he was still able to accurately capture Deng Shentang's position and attack angle. In other words, if you want to kill Phoenix Engine, you must first kill Mayumi Takuchi. Zhang Yi flipped his right hand, and Beizao fell into a different space. Then he took out a long and large weapon, his exclusive sniper, Leishu. Ronin, I'm going to kill your Mako. Zhang Yi said with a smile. Phoenix Engine originally planned to kill the members of the Tengu squad. But after hearing Zhang Yi's words, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Among the information he got, there was indeed such a thing. Zhang Yi is a marksman with super long range sniping ability. Because of her ability, Takuchi Mayumi must appear near the battlefield. Only then can she apply her ability, Blood Grant, to Phoenix Inner. After possessing this ability, the person being cast can see the movements of all enemies within the next 5 seconds centered on themselves, so that they can make judgments in advance and carry out counterattacks. If it weren't for this, he would never let Takuchi Mayumi appear on the battlefield. Once Mayumi Takuchi is lost, not only the strength of Phoenix Engine will be greatly reduced, even Eclipse would be reduced to a second-rate team, if marked according to Blizzard City's ability standards. With the blessing of Mayumi Takuchi's Blood Grant ability, his power index can reach a terrifying 9300 points. But once he loses the ability to predict his opponent's movements within 5 seconds, his ability index will plummet to 8500 points. Any captain level figure can easily defeat him. Therefore, Zhang Yi took advantage of his weakness. Chapter 745. Phoenix Yuanren hesitated for a moment. Zhang Yi can't kill him, but he can kill Mayumi Takuchi. He must think clearly about the consequences. But this hesitation only lasted for a second, and Phoenix Yuanren soon came to his senses. If he can be forced to dare not take action by Zhang Yi's words, what kind of team leader would he be? What's more, at this time, Takuchi Mayumi is not alone. She was protected by 40 Mana Mono Satoru. Jinguji Seiichiro suddenly jumped to his side, and a huge blue bird hovered in the sky. Get on the bluebird and kill him. We can't waste time here. What if what he said is true and another investigation team comes for reinforcement? We will all die. Phoenix Inner didn't say any more nonsense and jumped directly onto the bluebird's back. Large blood flowers spurted out from his fingertips, turning into dozens of bright red fire crows, and then headed straight for Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi felt furious when he saw that his threats had no effect. Okay, let's see who is more ruthless. You really think I have no temper, don't you? Little Neon, you fucking show me clearly. Zhang Yi raised the thunderbolt in his hand. The giant white anti-material sniper rifle more than 2 meters long. Its thick and long barrel was aimed at Mayumi Takuchi, who was more than 3,000 meters away. Origin bullets, 20-fold speed boost, precise shooting, and trinity of attacks turn an ordinary sniper attack into a murderous one. Dozens of karma crows pounced on Zhang Yi's 2-realm knot. He ignored it and pulled the trigger in his hand. Boom. The roar of the oversized sniper rifle exploded in the air, just like a thunder explosion. At the same time, Shimanomono Satoru had long known that this shot was coming. He waved his hands, and the man in black robe immediately lined up in front of Mayumi Takuchi. These are 10 alien puppets, all living dead created by him after clearing their brains. But they were all very capable strangers during their lifetime. Even after death, their mutated cells remain active, and they can still use their powers during life. All that is needed is to provide them with enough food. It can also be understood that they share the same brain as Shimono and Satoru. But those 10 alien puppets stood in front of Mayumi Takuchi. With just one bullet, the 5 alien puppets in front exploded directly on the spot. 3 of the 5 subsequent puppets were penetrated, and the 4th puppet caught the origin bomb with its head. Laugh. In Zhang Yi's alien space, dozens of karma crows began to disperse, turning into poisonous mist and beginning to erode his alien space. Although this process will cause Zhang Yi some trouble, it is not enough to completely destroy his alien space. After his space control becomes stronger and stronger, he can divide the space into different areas. Just cut the current space into parts and use some of them to consume business toxins. Zhang Yi took his time and skillfully changed the ammunition again. Now, for him, using firearms has already become a muscle memory. But Shimanobu Satoru understood that Mayumi Takuchi would definitely be killed with the next bullet. Team leader. Shimanobu Satoru shouted. Phoenix Yuanren came to his senses. He was about to rush over and ignite his Phoenix Karma fire to destroy Zhang Yi, but he suddenly stopped. Instead, he controlled the bluebird to turn around and catch the origin bomb from Zhang Yi's front. Reload, aim, and pull the trigger. And Phoenix Engine, who can predict the next 5 seconds, has already seen the future of Takuchi Mayumi's death and the path of the bullet. He stood in the path of the bullet. Boom. His body burning with red lotus karma fire and the huge blue bad was shot hundreds of meters away. A bloody hole appeared in his chest. Zhang Yi raised a big gun and aimed it at his head. I told you, don't act rashly. If I can't control you, can't I control your weaknesses? Phoenix Academy covered his chest with one hand. Not to mention, his naked body looked very strong, with clear muscle lines. Zhang Yi even suspected that he was exposing his clothes on purpose. A sneer appeared on the corner of Phoenix Academy's mouth. Just when he was about to say something, he suddenly felt dizzy. Soon, he realized what had happened, and then stabbed his temple decisively with a knife. The red lotus fire burned, and he was reborn. Zhang Yi secretly thought it was a pity. Is it found out? He took out a bullet with an icy blue glow on it. This batch of origin bombs is specially made with a powerful anesthetic added to it. Because he didn't have a way to kill Phoenix In and Ren for the time being, he planned to anesthetize him and then seal him up. I didn't expect this guy to be so vigilant and commit suicide at the slightest mistake. Zhang Yi raised the thunder in his hand and aimed at Fenghuang Yuanren again. Phoenix Yuanren couldn't dodge this bullet. He could hide away, but Mayumi Takuchi behind him couldn't. At this time, the two of them are in a state of terrifying balance. Zhang Yi knew that he could not kill Fenghuang Yuanren with just the gun in his hand. However, Phoenix In didn't dare to abandon Mayumi Takuchi and came to kill Zhang Yi at all costs. Even if he had the courage, he would never be able to do it in a short time. After all, the prerequisite for killing Zhang Yi is to completely defeat Zhang Yi's door to another space. This level of difficulty is even more difficult than Zhang Yi killing Phoenix Yuanren multiple times, causing him to exhaust his source and become unable to regenerate. As opponents of the same level, it is difficult for anyone to break through the other's defense. At this moment, Jingo Ichiro thought of a solution. Zhang Yi's attack ability is not strong. I will block his attacks, and then you go and kill him. After that, he asked Kanemaru to take him back to Mayumi Takuchi. As for the Shikigami that were originally summoned, except for the blue bird that was left for the Phoenix Academy to fly, the rest were all replaced by Kanemaru. Summoning 10 Shikigami at once is his upper limit. Kanemaru is the representative of power among the Shikigami. He has the strongest physique and top-notch defensive capabilities. 9 huge golden apes protected Takuchi Mayumi, leaving no gap for Zhang Yi. Feng Huang Yuanren now had no worries and came to kill Zhang Yi again. Puff. He bit his wrist, causing blood vessels to rupture and large amounts of blood to scatter in the air. Then it turned into a flaming crow that filled the sky. Suppress the demon karma and kill 3,000 crows. The huge flock of crows let out an ominous cry of death and swept away. Zhang Yi's eyes condensed and white light flashed in his right eye. Divine power. The space in front of me was obviously distorted for an instant, and then the space hundreds of meters in front was cleared. All the Karma Fire Crows were smashed into pieces, leaving nothing behind. Chapter 746 Full Metal Shell. Zhang Yi, Hao-Injin, Jingo Ichiro and Takuchi Mayumi. These 4 people form a delicate balance, and the core around it is Mayumi Takuchi. Due to her special abilities, she cannot leave the battlefield, and trying to rely on objects to defend against Zhang Yi's sniper attack was even more impossible. The only way to restrain top alien snipers is to use the aliens' defensive methods. All fortifications, tanks, and even mountains could not stop Zhang Yi's sniper attack. As a result, Jingo Ichiro cannot leave Takuchi Mayumi's side and must protect her personally. And after Phoenix and Jin received Takuchi Mayumi's blood grant, he only ended up in a draw with Zhang Yi on the battlefield. To put it simply and straightforwardly, Phoenix Yuanren's greatest ability is immortality, and Zhang Yi's extra-dimensional space is also biased towards defense. The contact between the two people was like the collision of 2 shield bearers. No one could capture the other quickly, but Phoenix Yuanren was obviously more impatient. Zhang Yi said that the Samsara team is on the way. If this continues, the situation will be very unfavorable for them. Little did he know that Zhang Yi was just scaring him. At this time, Zhang Yi would not completely trust anyone, including Gao Changkan's promised support, and Zhang Yi would not rely too much on it. He quickly scanned the entire battlefield with his eyes, and he also had some considerations in his mind. I have held back 2 of Eclipse's high-level combat forces and created time pressure on them. Coupled with local operations, we have a natural advantage. Next, it depends on whether I kill Phoenix Yuanren first, or whether my alien space is corrupted by him first. At this time, he was being stared at by Phoenix Academy Ren. Phoenix and Ren had no chance to take action against the rest of the Tengu team, and neither could Zhang Yi. When masters compete, any distraction will create an opportunity for the opponent, which may be fatal. Above the sky, Zhang Yi and Feng Huang Yuanren were fighting fiercely, but neither of them can solve each other in a short time. The battle above the ground was also extremely fierce. On the Xianhai City Coalition side, Zhao Honglian, Crossing Xian and others, together with Uncle Yu and Fatty Zhu, controlled a commanding height. Uncle Yu took out the GPW-2 generation anti-material sniper rifle given to him by Zhang Yi, paired it with the source ammunition, and began to provide sniper support on the battlefield. At this time, he is like a player who earns money. Relying on the advantages of weapons, he is enough to pose a great threat to aliens below Delta level. Basically every time a shot is fired, an ordinary pirate or low-level alien will be killed by a sniper. The powerful recoil caused the ground beneath Uncle Yu to crack rapidly. If an ordinary person uses this kind of weapon, one shot will destroy his shoulder. However, this is not a problem at all for Uncle Yu. After Kanyu discovered the team here, he immediately arranged for one of his leaders to rush over with hundreds of pirates. Zhao Honglian and Xingshan looked at each other. We can't kill the frontal battlefield, so let's help Zhang Yi and the others deal with the miscellaneous soldiers on the outside. That's what I mean too. Their strength cannot reach the level of the investigation team and Eclipse, and they know this. But against pirates, they can still give it a try. A layer of milky white light emerged from Xingshan's body, and the abilities of Xingshan Legion were given to hundreds of people around him. Zhao Hanglian ordered his men in an orderly manner to prepare for the attack. The gunners behind him climbed onto the chariot, opened the door, and immediately revealed more than a dozen artillery pieces, aiming at the invading pirates. But Zhao Hanglian gave the order and the artillery fired in unison. But among the pirates, a one-eyed leader sneered. He waved his hands in the air, and a layer of transparent gel appeared out of thin air to block the pirates. All the bullets and shells were blocked without causing any damage. This made Zhao Hanglian look solemnly. The strength of this pirate leader is definitely above them. But Uncle Yu's sniper attack also came. The gelatin barrier formed by the supernatural power could not stop the origin bullet. It penetrated hard and shot at the leader. Puff. His upper body exploded directly, leaving only his legs standing on the ground. Zhao Hanglian and Xingshan were also stunned when they saw this scene. Is the power of the origin bomb so powerful? After all, this group of pirates from the southern seas do not understand the principle of origin bombs at all. This kind of weapon, which embodies the most powerful technology at the military district level of Huax's state, is itself a good thing for restraining supernatural powers. Especially this kind of release type alien, which does not have particularly strong defense, will naturally be killed instantly. Uncle Yu killed a pirate leader with one blow, and his eyes suddenly lit up. I haven't found such a happy feeling for a long time. Although as a gamma level alien, his upper limit is almost locked, but this does not mean that he cannot perform on the battlefield. The number of origin bombs is limited, and Uncle Yu dare not abuse them. He stood up, put away his sniper rifle, and went to the Snauma bar next to him to pick up a huge and heavy black box. At this time, the pirates were even more angry because of the death of a leader, and they roared and ran towards this direction. The bullet streaked across the ice and snow sky and shot in this direction. Zhao Hanglian and Xingshan quickly organized people to fight back. But in terms of numbers, especially in terms of the number of aliens, they are very obviously lagging behind. Once the other party approaches and makes dumplings, they may all have to fold here. At this time, Uncle Yu's powerful voice came over. Get out of the way, let me come. Crossing Cheyenne and others followed the sound, and the scene in front of them made them widen their eyes. Uncle Yu was wearing an extremely weird costume. Rather than saying it is a costume, it is better to say that a variety of high destructive firearms have been assembled together to form an extremely heavy and shocking armor. It was a black armored suit with 2 airborne Gatling cannons on the arms, mini cannons on the shoulders, and 4 rapid fire machine guns on the waist. In other places visible to the naked eye, spare heavy firearms were hung, and bullet belts were wrapped around his body. This set of weapons cannot be dislodged without weighing over 1,000 kilograms. At this time, Uncle Yu's legs were deeply stuck in the snow. He walked forward step by step, letting the pirate's bullets hit his body, but it was like scratching an itch. Even if he is injured by a heavy firearm, his body can recover quickly. Fatty Zoo. Uncle Yu yelled. Fatty Zoo shouted, got it. This is not the first time that the two of them have cooperated. They have a tacit understanding for a long time. Fatty Zoo quickly used his flowing snow ability to form a huge snowstorm in the direction of the pirate attack. Although it has almost no lethality, it is enough to cause huge confusion to the opponent and interfere with their vision. But Uncle Yu walked to the battle formation alone. Then, he roared and activated his weapons. Chapter 747. Xingshan immediately released all the ability blessings of the Xingshan Legion and poured all his power into Uncle Yu. Although it is not an origin bomb, the thermal weapon is still very lethal to ordinary pirates and low-level aliens. What's more, it's such a weapon and equipment of great destruction. With the blessing of Fatty Zoo's abilities, the pirates in the blizzard were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Their bodies were mercilessly penetrated by high-energy bullets, and in the blink of an eye, a large number of pirates were torn to pieces. Uncle Yu roared angrily, feeling extremely happy in his heart. Naturally, he asked Luke Karen to help him create this special suit. Zhao Hanglian looked at the opponent's ruthlessly torn battle formation, and the cold murderous intent emerged in his eyes. Foreign people, leave it to us to solve it. Uncle, you can clean up most of the trash fish. However, many of the Carter level pirates on the other side are powerful strangers. Zhao Hanglian and Xingshan led their subordinates to the forefront of the battle line. Sure enough, not long after, a dozen pirate leaders rushed out of the snowstorm and attacked them. On another battlefield, Dagum Yanjin and Bailey Chanking came to a secluded place away from the main battlefield. Neither of them wanted to be disturbed in this battle. Dagon Yanjin has started the transformation of the Beastman system. In the form of Shaihu, he is more than 3 meters tall, like an ancient ape man, with explosive muscles all over his body. In his right hand, a heavy dragonfly cutter was placed on the ground, like a big flag. Although Bailey Chanking was very tall, she also looked small in front of him. Your name is Bailey Chanking, right? Dagon Yanjin grinned and said, I heard that you are one of the top strength masters in the Jiangnan region. Bailey Chanking's eyes were gloomy. You actually know about me. How much do you know about Blizzard City? At this time, he was already sure that there was an undercover agent of Eclipse in Blizzard City. Otherwise, the information about these people and the previous members of the God team would not be known to the other party. Dagon Yanjin laughed. Do you want to know this? Then, come over and beat me. He stretched out his thick left palm toward Bailey Chanking. I only admire beings who are stronger than me. After you defeat me, I will tell you everything. The premise is that you have such strength. Bailey Chanking looked at Zhang Kuang in front of him. His expression was particularly solemn, without any excitement at all. Sumo wrestler, I'm different from you. I'm a soldier, and it is the duty of a soldier to obey orders, complete the mission, and protect my homeland. This is my greatest mission. So, you have to die here. After Bailey Chanking said this, he took out a pill from his pocket and threw it into his mouth. We must win this battle. With the entrance of compound number 5, Bailey Chanking's body suddenly erupted with a shuddering aura. A stream of red blood like air flowed out from his limbs and bones, steaming around his body. Compound number 5 is such a dangerous thing that even captain level figures would not dare to use it easily. But now, Bailey Chanking understands the current situation. Someone in Blizzard City wants to get rid of them, so no one can count on them. If you want to survive and annihilate Eclipse Moon, you must go all out and leave no escape route for yourself. Even if it means sacrificing his own life. The figures of Bian Junwu and his teammates who died in other missions flashed through Bailey Chanking's mind, and a kind of understanding gradually emerged in his heart. There is death, he said in a flat tone. Bailey Chanking's sudden change made both Dagon and Yanjin shrink their pupils. A crisis of death instantly enveloped him. At this moment, he suddenly remembered that this time, Takuchi Mayumi's prediction was useless. Therefore, he didn't know what the outcome would be next. Kill. As soon as Bailey Chanking finished speaking, his figure appeared in front of Dagon Yanjin. Then a simple straight punch hit Dagon Yanjin in the chest. Boom. Dagon Yanjin was caught off guard and was blown hundreds of meters away. His huge body rolled hundreds of times on the ground before it came to a stop. But when he raised his head, Bailey Chanking kicked him with a big foot, directly in the face. Dagon Yanjin's teeth were kicked out several times, and he flew up like a kite. It's not fair, you're taking drugs. Dagon Yanjin suddenly realized what Bailey Chanking had done. He roared angrily. For a sumo wrestler, taking drugs is an extremely shameful act. What makes him even more angry is that as a Ronin, he does not have such high-tech products to enhance his strength. Bailey Chanking said coldly, I'm a soldier. Soldiers are not warriors and have no ridiculous concept of fairness. They only want results. In a life and death fight, if I live and you die, that's fair. Bailey Chanking's attack hit Dagon Yanjin before it even landed. His speed was too fast and his strength was too strong. Dagon Yanjin was hung up and beaten. His whole body was covered with scars, and he didn't even have a chance to fight back. What? Dagon Yanjin let out an extremely angry roar, and he felt extremely aggrieved. Bailey Chanking's sarcastic voice continued to ring in his ears. Neon bastard, I thought you were so powerful. Without the ability of the divination witch, are you nothing more than this? During the long period of time in the past, Zhang Yi and the others had already formulated a battle plan. In particular, He made meticulous research on the several powerful forces of the lunar eclipse. At this time, the great work of Yang Jin was transparent to Bailey Changqing. Dagon Yang Jin quickly came to his senses. He used drugs, which can only temporarily increase his explosive power. As long as he waits until the effects of the drugs wear off, I can win. With this in mind, Dagon Yang Jin no longer thought about confronting him head on, but turned around and planned to escape. This was the first time he felt timid on the battlefield. And once fear begins to arise, no matter how he comforts himself psychologically, he is destined to be at a disadvantage. Want to run? Can you run away? Bailey Changqing's whole body was burning with red smoke, and he came first and stopped in front of Dagon Yang Jin. A whip hit his chest. Pass. Dagon Yang Jin was whipped away like a sack. Streams of blood also oozed from the corners of his mouth. But he still forced himself to steady his body on the snow. Although Bailey Changqing's offensive is fierce, his defense is not bad either. Hundreds of kilograms of fat are his natural carapace. He held his breath and concentrated, and clenched the dragonfly curry in his hand. Although his speed is not as fast as Bailey Changqing, he still has the opportunity to counterattack, if he breaks quietly. Chapter 748 Warriors and Swords. Chang. The sound of gold and iron clashing came from the snowfield. Fang Shan's painted halberd hit Dragonfly Key hard, and the shock caused a terrifying shockwave, which instantly swept away the ice and snow hundreds of meters in radius. Dagon Yang Jin was knocked away directly, his jaws were trembling. For the first time, he felt his weakness in strength. Bailey Changqing held Fang Shan's painted halberd in her backhand, and walked on the snow. The sharp edge of the halberd splashed large sparks on the rocks on the ground. You neon people like to imitate everything from Mahuaksu country. What kind of Honda Tadakatsu and Lubu, the #1 general in the Three Kingdoms? What's ridiculous is that a group of Japanese people who are less than 1.5 meters tall, and not even as tall as a horse, have the right to be called the mightiest generals of the world. Bailey Changqing stared at the 3-meter tall Dagon Yang Jin with a mocking look on his lips. Sure enough, the more people lack something, the more they want to show it. The reason why he changed his weapon to Fang Shan painted halberd was to deal with Dragonfly Curry of Dagon Yang Jin, so that he can see how his ancestors' things are played. What is the weapon that a truly fierce general should use? What? Dagon Yang Jin couldn't bear this kind of ridicule, so he angrily rushed over with his dragonfly cutter in hand. Let me give you another piece of knowledge. Bailey Changqing looked at him and said coldly, the ancient generals of Huaxu Kingdom competed on the battlefield, and the competition was about strength. Overwhelming strength is everything. In the face of absolute power, everything is illusory. Bailey Changqing raised Fang Shan's painted halberd with both hands, and charged towards the great work of Yang Jin. I have to admit that this guy from a Yokozuna background is indeed very good. Whether it's combat skills, defense, or patience, they are all top notch. Even if Bailey Changqing pressed him down and beat him, Bailey Changqing could not kill him quickly due to his rough skin and thick flesh. After all, his more than 200 kilograms of fat itself is the best buffering substance. Ping ping pong pong. Fang Shan's painted halberd collided fiercely with Dragonfly's cut. Bailey Changqing was in an absolute advantage, and his halberd blade passed through the body of Dagon Yang Jin many times. Then, no blood was seen, but instead, the thick fat on his body was seen first. Bailey Changqing couldn't help, but his face darkened. If he delays it, once the effects of the medicine wear off, he will fall into a state of great weakness. Therefore, we must fight quickly. On the main battlefield, the duel between Zhang Yi and Feng Huang Yuanren is still the focus of everyone's attention. Everyone had no time to pay attention to this place, but they couldn't help but pray for their respective leaders, because the failure of any one of them, Zhang Yi or Feng Huang Yuanren, will directly tip the balance of the entire battlefield. This is the ability of top aliens to dominate the battlefield. Phoenix Yuanren and Zhang Yi actually felt a little guilty. None of them can do anything to each other. The key to determining this battle is, first, whether the Tengu team has reinforcement, and second, the outcome of the battle of other team members below. But at this time, the battlefield had already turned into a mess. Zhang Yi did not expect that they would be stabbed in the back, and Eclipse and the Cheyenne Lang pirates teamed up to attack them. As for the Eclipse group, because of the presence of Zhang Yi, Takeuchi Mayumi's prophecy ability was also sealed. They couldn't see clearly where the battlefield was heading. Zhang Yi, in particular, showed strength beyond everyone's imagination. Both of them were in the air, and Zhang Yi chose to use 2 white owls to engage in a tossing battle with the Phoenix Academy. The Phoenix Academy's close combat ability is useless to him, and he can only use the Karma Fire Crow to slowly wear it down. But Zhang Yi used Origin bullets and Holy Silver bullets to kill them one by one. Almost at the same time, the two of them came up with the same idea: if they can't kill each other, then kill each other's men. Zhang Yi looked down at the battlefield from a high altitude. His eyes focused on the distant Agoku Nabatsu, at Tsukamoto Nobunaga and Kanet, the captain of the 4th Division of the Xianlang Pirates. If I use thunder, it will not be easy to kill them. But as long as I shoot them in the back, while they are fighting fiercely, I have a good chance of killing them. But when he first had this thought, he felt a sinister look on Liang Yu, Yang Xingxin and others. Zhang Yi frowned and looked at Feng Huang Yuanren. Phoenix Yuanren suddenly smiled evilly. Those two who have been following you are your women, right? Zhang Yi felt angry. Absolutely no one is allowed to touch the people around him. But he couldn't show his anger. The more they do that, the more they will fall into a passive position, and the more they will be targeted by Phoenix in a Ren. Zhang Yi said calmly, they are just a few subordinates. Why do you want to kill them? He raised the corners of his mouth and glanced in the direction of Mayumi Takeuchi with a sneer. Otherwise, we'll kill each other in exchange. What do you think? The smile on Phoenix Academy's lips disappeared. Mayumi Takeuchi is not only a partner to him, but also the core of his combat strength. Did you get through Jinguji Temple? He asked rhetorically. Try to know. In Zhang Yi's right eye, distorted light slowly emerged. He can activate his Kamu at any time. If Jinguji Seiichiro wants to block it, no one knows what the result will be. Even if he blocks it, he will pay a huge price. Phoenix Yuanren lowered the brim of his hat to prevent Zhang Yi from seeing his eyes. At this time, he was weighing the pros and cons, whether to take the gamble or not. However, he cannot afford to lose the bet. If he loses to Takeuchi Mayumi, he will lose everything about himself. From a top alien to a second-rate person. This price was too heavy. He didn't dare to gamble. But in Zhang Yi's mind, an extremely risky and bold plan was slowly taking shape. But he was never an adventurous person. So he is still waiting for the right time to appear. Another battlefield. Here is the duel between Liang Yu and Tsukamoto Nobunaga. Both of them are top warriors and masters of swordsmanship. Tsukamoto Nobunaga's weapon is the famous sword Grand Hanai Nagako, which has an extremely glorious history in Neon. The owners who have used it are all famous swordsmen in Neon, and some are even called sword masters. Liang Yu's weapon is a Tangdao Langming, made of adamant metal made with modern technology. Straight knife, long and narrow, sharp, and heavy. Although it looks similar to the great Hanai Nagako held by Tsukamoto Nobunaga, it weighs more than twice as much. In the history of Huaxu Kingdom, the knife was a weapon used to kill on the battlefield. Everyone wears armor on the battlefield, so the weapons must have weight. As for the warriors of Neon Country, warrior duels, one-on-one duels, have been popular since ancient times. Therefore, they pay more attention to the lightness of the weapon. A knife that is too heavy will slow down their speed. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 749, Martial Arts Master Fights Over One Move. The two looked at each other from a distance of 100 meters in the snow. With snowflakes flying in the sky and white snow on the ground, the scene is even a bit sad. Tsukamoto Nobunaga's dead fish eyes showed a bellicose brilliance for the first time. In previous battles, he had never been as serious and excited as he is today, because he could feel from Liang Yu's movements that he was a top player. In today's era, martial arts are in decline, and top warriors are even rarer to find. The top martial artists never leave their hands without stopping every day, so every move has the shadow of a move. It was also the first time that Tsukamoto Nobunaga straightened his body in a samurai manner and introduced himself to Liang Yu. I will pass it on to you as one of the best in the world. Tsukamoto Nobunaga. Weapon. Great Prajna changing light. He raised his long knife horizontally with his left hand. When Liang Yu saw this, he also stood solemnly. Liang Yu, the descendant of Peng's 5 Tigers Broken Gate Sword. This long sword is named looming. Liang Yu studied Beijiai. Her grandfather Liang Baogo was proficient in the whip method and created his own Hunyuan Zingai Teikai Gate. However, this kung fu is not very recognized by mainstream martial arts people. Later, Liang Yu learned from hundreds of schools and became proficient in many martial arts. And her best single sword is the 5 Tiger Door Breaking Sword inherited from the Peng family. This martial art is often mentioned in martial arts novels, and its users are mostly martial arts figures who serve as stepping stones for the protagonists. But in fact, this sword technique does exist in reality, and it is famous in the martial arts world. Liang Yu has been learning this sword technique for a total of 15 years. Later, he also won the National Martial Arts Competition Championship in the single sword event. Of course, there was not much to brag about. After the two people introduced themselves, they fell into a state of silence. Almost all of them chose the same starting move. I. Draw the sword and chop. Ju. It is very useful during samurai duels, because with the help of the suppression of the scabbard, the sword can be drawn as quickly as possible. Nobunaga did not expect that Liang Yu would choose the same starting move as himself. He mocked, "Do the warriors of Huaxu Kingdom use my neon swordsmanship?" Liang Yu said calmly and sarcastically, "Neon doesn't have a sword himself, but he learned from our Tang's sword and made this kind of waste on the battlefield." Liang Yu is proficient in all kinds of martial arts, not limited to Huaxu Kingdom's martial arts. Jiu-jitsu, Krav Maga, Muay Thai, IAI. She is good at combining the strengths of hundreds of schools of thought. As long as it is useful, take it and use it. Mainly pragmatism. Her sarcasm made Nobunaga's eyebrows sharper. The war of words is just to disturb the other party's mentality. But obviously, Liang Yu is not an opponent he can easily shake. Nobunaga took a deep breath. The Shianyu domain opened around him. With him as the center, a 50-meter circular area formed a special field. His blade can instantly strike anything within the 50-meter range. Liang Yu slowly closed her eyes. There is no realm of emptiness. Let your heart become completely silent. No more fear, no more hesitation. Man and sword completely become the only thing between heaven and earth. They are all waiting for a suitable opportunity to take action. But in the end, it was discovered that the opponent's defense was too perfect, and there was no point in continuing to wait. So almost at the same time, both of them chose to use their swords. The shoes stepped on the thick ice and snow under their feet, and the two of them ran towards each other with the speed of an arrow. Hey! Before the people arrived, the sword light had already passed through the air, and the cold murderous intent spread throughout the space. A single stroke of the knife will eclipse the sky and the earth. Two white lights flashed, and snowflakes surged up crazily on the ground. Two huge sword lights were extremely obvious among the snowflakes, as if there were two blank spaces missing in the space. The first time they fought, there was no winner between the two, and no one got any advantage. Nobunaga's sword is faster, but Liang Yu's sword is harder. Liang Yu arrived first, and blocked Nobunaga's sword light with the power of his weapon. Nobunaga closed his eyes. At this time, Liang Yu was already within his domain. However, what he could see was no one, only a long and narrow tang knife. In the realm of selflessness, you are indeed a master. Nobunaga cracked the corners of his mouth and smiled even harder, even a little crazy. I have never competed with a swordsman from Huaxu Kingdom. All the martial arts masters I have seen before are swindlers. I didn't expect that I met you here. I'm so lucky. Liang Yu skillfully held a knife in his right hand and slashed out with his backhand. It's your misfortune to meet me. One of them is a martial arts fanatic, and the other is a martial arts genius who has practiced martial arts since childhood. They are both good with swords, so after they met, the battle was very fierce. After being trained scientifically by the Deng family, Liang Yu's strength has now fully reached the level of deputy captain. She has no other abilities, but simply strengthens her 5 senses and physical abilities. If it were anyone else, He might just be a pretty good Delta level powerhouse. But for a martial arts master, this is a huge improvement. The 5 tigers cut off the door with their swords, cut off their hands, feet, and heads. Their moves are extremely cruel and dangerous. The sword energy spread across the world, and the speed of the two was so fast that they could not even see the swords in their hands clearly, nor could they clearly see their people. There were only 2 after images, traveling back and forth among the snowflakes flying in the sky. I saw that the surrounding dead trees and rocks were chopped into pieces, and the cuts were as flat as a mirror. Chang. The two passed side by side, and the 2 long knives collided, causing a long string of sparks to rub out. At this moment, Tsukamoto Nobunaga suddenly took out a short sword from his arms with his left hand, and Gang Tangzi cut. He took advantage of Liang Yu's steps before he could steady his steps, and aimed the dagger in his left hand directly at her back and threw it. Liang Yu sensed the attack of the weapon, and quickly waved the long knife with her right hand, flying away Tongzuki. This gap was caught by Nobunaga. He held the long and narrow handle of the great Prajna Changwan with both hands, and the blade slowly drew a circular arc in midair. No one saw clearly how he drew the knife. Just in an instant, hundreds of sword lights enveloped Liang Yu, sealing off all directions around her at the same time. Mysterious meaning, Yan Hui. This is an improvement from Sasuke Kagero's unique technique. It is said that even flying swallows flying rapidly through the air will be chopped down. In the hands of the alien Nobunaga, this move can even take a sniper shot from Zhang Yi. Facing Nobunaga's killing move, Liang Yu's eyes also showed an extremely serious look. She can't dodge this move. Then, stop hiding. She did not choose to retreat, but moved forward, facing Nobunaga's sharp blade. This hand made Nobunaga's eyes widen in shock. The person who invented this trick would never have imagined that someone would hit the knife edge with his own body. Yan Hui's sword light cut through Liang Yu's tough combat uniform, scratched her fair skin, and pierced her arm. So what? There are countless inheritors of ancient martial arts who have been seriously injured while competing in martial arts. When Nobunaga's moves became more mature, her long sword also turned into a snow-white bolt and swung it from bottom to top. An arm was thrown high, and bright red blood spilled on the ground, like a blooming plum blossom, but it turned dim in an instant. Chapter 750 Angel Wings. On the vast snow-covered land, Liang Yu and Nobunaga separated again. After a near-death fight, both of them decided to adjust their condition and fight again. But at this time, they all suffered serious injuries. One of Liang Yu's arms was penetrated, and blood trickled down. Nobunaga's left arm was cut off directly. It seemed that Liang Yu had the upper hand, but that was not the case. Because Nobunaga's left arm was severed, his right hand could still hold the sword. However, losing an arm will affect his body balance. Therefore, his speed will be greatly affected when he takes the next shot. Liang Yu's right arm was penetrated. The blade penetrated the bone, and his hand fell weakly to his side. She could only use her left hand to hold the knife. She can also use double swords. She can also use the sword with her left hand to show good strength, but it is not as good as her dominant right hand. Martial arts masters fight with one move and fight to the death. Victory, defeat, and life and death are often decided in one move. Therefore, the duel between the two of them is much more dangerous than Bailey Chanking and Agan Juianjin. On the battlefield, there are fierce battles everywhere. Except for the battle between Zhang Yi and the other 3 main forces, the fighting in other places was even more chaotic. The members of the Tengu team, headed by Wu Di and Yi, were responsible for solving the numerous members of the Cheyenne Lang Pirates and Eclipse. Yang Xingxin, riding Huata, is also in the battle group here. Canute's 4th squadron did indeed have good combat effectiveness, and his own strength was comparable to that of the deputy captain of the investigation team. However, Zhang Yi suffered a serious injury as a result of taking a shot of Void Bull head-on. Therefore, he was unable to display his abilities when he led his men to fight against the Tengu squad. Soon, most of the ordinary trash fish were cleaned up. The only ones left are strangers. The other aliens in the pirate group are okay, but there is a big gap compared with the well-trained and well-equipped Tengu team. But Canute's own strength is extremely powerful. He is a rare marine orc type person with the ability to transform into a giant blue shark. With a body length of 15 meters and a weight of 10,000 plus tons, he is a terrifying weapon in his own right. coupled with the ability to move in any medium, even in the snow, it can still launch attacks flexibly. Even the members of the Tengu team were overthrown by him. Beside him were two deputies. The first mate, Quatosan, has the characteristics of a strange person. Its ability is to transform its body into a tough chain. The second deputy, Shankei, is an orc who is a strange person. His ability is an alienated electric eel, which can swim in the ice and emit high voltage current. The two of them followed Canute and faced off against the members of the Tengu team. At the same time, Yoshimitsu Sakuraba and Akira Kurosawa of Eclipse also fought with them. After all, they are not qualified to join the battlefield, where several top combat forces are competing. Once you overestimate your capabilities, you may be killed instantly. The remaining hundreds of pirates were swarming on the edge, but it was obviously difficult for them to have much impact on the battlefield. As for the Tengu team, Woody and Yi are currently in charge of the front. Facing a huge monster like Canute that has almost no blind spots in attack and defense, their attack methods are difficult to be effective. Concentrate your firepower and shoot at its weak points. Attack its gills. Woody condensed a huge floating cannon with his hands and shot at Canute. A huge beam of light penetrated the void, but Canute easily dodged it by diving into the ground. A few seconds later, a bloody mouth rushed out from under his feet and was about to swallow him. Woody was startled, and his blood ran cold when he saw the huge mouth, but it was Zumayo who used the magic technique to rush over in time and rescued him. When Zumayo left, he threw two high explosive grenades into the blue shark's mouth. But after Canute closed his mouth, there was a muffled sound in his stomach. Hiccuped, he burped loudly, exhaled a puff of black smoke, and a playful look flashed in his huge eyes. It was obvious that the attack just now was not painful to him. Hunting, let's start. He dived into the earth. The huge shark fins deliberately exposed the surface, and the ground rippled like water. Everyone who stands on the ground may become his prey. The huge shark fin alone gives people an unparalleled sense of oppression. Woody was almost swallowed just now, and now he had lingering fears. If Canute had not been severely injured by Zhang Yi before, I'm afraid that Canute would have eaten them as easily as eating a small cake. The captain of the Cheyenne Lang pirates is indeed not just an ordinary fish. But now, how to deal with him? At this time, Huahua was squatting on a high terrain, her amber eyes staring quietly at everything happening below. Among its thick hair, Yang Xingxin's delicate face is as big as a palm. Yang Xingxin's eyes looked to the sky, where the battle between Zhang Yi and Feng Huang Yuanren was dazzling. It is difficult for her to join that level of battle now. Right now, the biggest trouble is Canute, who has transformed into a blue shark. Yang Xingxin stroked Huahua's head. Huahua, look good. You must capture his movements. Wow. Huahua's eyes were fixedly staring down. What a big fish. Its eyes were straight. Cats are naturally sensitive to fish, but this fish is a little bigger. Behind Yang Xingxin, an angel with 3 pairs of wings slowly emerged. It's just that the expression of this angel is very strange. It seems to be smiling but not smiling, and it seems to be crying but not crying. Its face seems to be filled with various emotions of joy, anger, sorrow, and joy. What's even weirder is that the wings on his back actually have 3 colors. A pair as red as blood, a pair as blue as the sea, a pair as dark as ink. Carefully, look for his location. Yang Xingxin murmured. A longbow appeared in the angel's left hand behind her, and a blue wing was taken out from behind in her right hand. The wing turned into a sharp arrow in his hand, and the tail end still looked like a wing. A moment later, Canute suddenly emerged from the depths of the earth, and opened his huge mouth. This time, his target was Liu Yinghao. Liu Yinghao's face turned pale. Even though he had injected himself with adrenaline, he was not fast enough to escape Canute's attack. Canute swallowed Liu Yinghao directly. Yang Xingxin's eyes narrowed, and the angel behind her held a bow like a full moon, aimed at Canute's body, and shot it. PFFT. The blue arrow shot into Canute's body, and then only penetrated a small part of it. It didn't even penetrate his thick scales. Canute glanced coldly in Yang Xingxin's direction and ignored him. If you want to penetrate his defense, you must have deputy captain level attack capabilities. He couldn't block Zhang Yi's void ball, couldn't he block the attacks of the rest of the Tengu team? After Canute devoured Liu Yinghao, before he could taunt the Tengu team, he suddenly looked away, opened his mouth, and vomited Liu Yinghao out. Liu Yinghao was covered in mucus and extremely embarrassed, but he quickly stabilized his figure and looked at the huge blue shark with some pride. I'm covered in poison. How dare you eat me? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.